Senju Hashirama carefully fed the fruit to Xiao Li. The effect can be described as immediate. It took only 2 seconds to eat it. Xiao Li immediately jumped up vigorously, as if he was not the one who was lying on the ground resting food just now. Oh oh oh. The blood of youth is burning. Saying that, Xiao Li rushed out suddenly. There is no consciousness of the injured at all. Senju Hashirama stared dumbfounded. How is this done? Looking at Senju Hashirama's eager eyes, Naruto shrugged. Quite simply, infuse a large amount of positive chakra into wood style, and you'll be able to bear this healing fruit. But it still seems to have some side effects. Senju Hashirama said in disbelief. There are side effects to this effect. People who were unable to move just now, immediately became alive and kicking. There are no side effects. Senju Tobarama said calmly. It's the excitement effect. This child is obviously more excited than just now. Besides, when a normal person encounters this kind of thing, will definitely wonder how the injury is good, but he didn't think about it at all. Naruto looked at Senju Tobarama and nodded appreciatively. As expected of second Hokage, he has strong observation skills. It seems that being able to create so many forbidden techniques is not a matter of good luck. Senju Tobarama rolled his eyes and said, no matter how many forbidden techniques I have created, it is useless to compare with your strength, and in terms of creation, it is not much worse. Senju Hashirama said blankly. Being excited is also a side effect. Isn't that the power to inspire ninjas? How can it be a side effect? Before Naruto could answer, Senju Tobarama shook his head helplessly and said, brother, we are ninjas. We must keep a calm mind at all times. If the blood is surging, it is easy to fall into the enemy's trap. Senju Hashirama scratched his head. Really? Why have I never encountered it? Senju Tobarama said speechlessly. Who made you strong, and your recovery ability is amazing. You recover immediately after a little injury, and you don't care about traps or anything like that. But other ninjas are not as strong as you. If you get too excited and fall into the enemy's trap, wouldn't you be dead? Senju Hashirama nodded knowingly and said, then it seems that the side effects are not too great. Senju Tobarama rolled his eyes and didn't want to talk anymore. But Senju Hashirama is interested. Did you use wood style to create the fruit of this healing? Then are there any other similar fruits? Naruto nodded. Of course there is. In fact, wood style is a very important tool for me to rule the ninja world in the future. Because my goal is to make everyone have enough to eat. Senju Hashirama was taken aback for a moment, then sighed. That's a really big wish. You said it was about wood style, so what are you going to do? Then Naruto waved, and sprouts suddenly appeared on the ground. It's very simple, experiment a lot, then select the plants that can grow the most food, and then cultivate them on a large scale. Of course, I know that once people's food and clothing are solved, new problems will arise. But I believe that I can solve all the problems. Senju Hashirama stared blankly at the rapidly growing shoots, then sighed. I never thought I could do something like this with wood style. Senju Tobarama also stroked his chin and said. At that time, I was only focused on improving the strength of myself in the village, and I never thought that the wooden path would have such a magical effect. But I should have noticed it a long time ago. After all, many forests outside the village were created by your wood style. Since the trees produced by these wood style can still grow, it is completely possible to create plants that give birth to fruits or crops. Saying that, Senju Tobarama looked at Naruto with admiration. I really don't know what's going on in your head. Even though you're still a child, you've already thought of so much. Perhaps, it is indeed a very correct choice for the ninja world to let you unify. Naruto smiled and said, then are you too interested? Senju Hashirama and Senju Tobarama were taken aback. What do you mean? Naruto said, pointing to the ever-growing shoots. Don't you want to study these yourself? Watch the whole world become better little by little in your hands. Isn't this what you once longed for? Senju Hashirama and Senju Tobarama looked at each other, then Senju Tobarama asked. Naturally, I really want to, but we are already dead. Although we came to the world with the aid of impure world reincarnation, we no longer belong to this world. So, forget it, the future of the ninja world is in your hands, we are very relieved. Naruto didn't say much after hearing the words. Since that's the case, then I won't force it. Although these two people cannot be said to have died of old age, they also have the descendants of the 2 grandchildren of Tsunade and Nawaki, which can be regarded as a long-term success. But there are 2 people, Naruto is sure to be resurrected. And in this regard, Naruto has already arranged for the clone to test the possibility. At this time, Senju Hashirama pointed curiously at the small tree that had grown to a height of 2 meters. What will these trees grow? Naruto came back to his senses and snapped his fingers. It will grow these. With the snapping of fingers, a large number of meat lumps suddenly appeared on the branches. This scene directly dumbfounded the two of them. This. How is this possible? How can it be possible to grow meat on a tree? Naruto said with a smile. This is definitely not a normal tree. I made it through special improvements. And without the support of my chakra, it is impossible to bear fruit, so it is a plant that cannot be promoted. But with this, when I want to eat meat, I can make it at any time, and the meat can be fine-tuned. How about it? Would you like to bake some now? It's a long time before they end the fight anyway. Senju Hashirama scratched his head embarrassedly and said. Isn't that bad? The kids were still fighting and we were eating barbecue and stuff. Senju Tobirama directly reached out and picked two of them. Then we're welcome. Naruto also doesn't know if impure world reincarnation can eat food or if it tastes good. But looking at the reactions of the two, it was obvious that there was nothing wrong with it. Then, Naruto directly took out a scroll, and took out the pots and pans stored inside. Then let you have a taste of my craft. Although Naruto makes more meatballs of various colors. But if you do more, there are obviously bonuses in other aspects. Especially in the sauce, it is perfect. Sniff sniff. Huh. What smells so fragrant? Choji, who was fighting his opponent, suddenly sniffed. He actually smelled the smell of grilled meat before the teeth of the Inuzuka clan. The scent immediately made the meat-loving demon Choji unable to bear it anymore. He didn't care about his opponent, and directly sent an expansion jutsu to knock the opponent away, and then began to look for the source of the smell. Then, he saw Naruto and Senju brothers who were grilling meat by the side of the boulder. Okay. Naruto, you don't take me with you to eat barbecue. Choji rushed over angrily, and sat down next to Naruto, with his arms crossed and his baby looking unhappy. Naruto smiled and said, because I know you will definitely come after you smell it. Now that the barbecue is just cooked, you can eat it when you come over, so that I don't have to shout for you to come over. Aren't you going to have to wait then? Choji thought about it, and it seemed that this was indeed the case. Immediately Choji was not angry anymore, picked up the chopsticks Naruto gave him and caught a large piece of grilled meat. Then directly dip a few times on the dipping material next to it, and then feed it into the mouth. Wow, it's really delicious. Choji's eyes popped like stars. This is the best roast I've ever had, and this dip, it's delicious. And I feel that the lack of chakra in the body has been supplemented a lot. I can still fight that guy for 300 rounds now. But now it's barbecue time. After I'm done eating, I'll be looking for him to fight one-on-one. Naruto doesn't know who Choji is talking about. Anyway, no matter who it is impossible for something that cannot be prevented to happen if he has his back. Watching Choji gobble it up, Naruto said with a smile. Eat slowly, you have enough meat, you can eat as much as you want. Choji's mouth was so full that he couldn't even speak, and could only nod his head incessantly. Suddenly, he thought of something, swallowed the roast meat in his mouth with difficulty, and asked curiously. Where did this meat come from? I didn't see any animals around, did I? And this meat quality is the meat quality I have never tasted before, it's so perfect. Naruto smiled and pointed behind Choji, and said. Look by yourself. I see for myself. Choji turned his head quickly, then widened his eyes in shock. What is this? A tree. A fleshy tree. Choji never expected that the perfect grilled meat in his mouth came from a tree. How can this be? How can a tree grow flesh? This is completely unreasonable. It was made by Naruto, so it's fine. Choji soon felt relieved, and continued to eat like crazy. Anyway, Naruto has performed too many miracles, and Choji is hard to be shocked. This time, it was also because what he saw was too distorted, so he couldn't believe what he saw. But thinking of Naruto, Choji thought about it and thought it was not unacceptable. After all, it is impossible to train them, who are only 7 or 8 years old, to become elite Jonin or even go a step further. Naruto has done so many impossible things, so naturally it is not bad to let the tree grow flesh. Anyway, it doesn't matter where the meat comes from, as long as it tastes good, it's over. Wow. What are these trees? Why is it covered with meat? And it looks delicious. Tooth was the second to come back. After all, Ya has a nose as sensitive as a dog. After a fierce battle just now, how can I bear the smell of barbecue now? So the enemy played Shikamaru and then he drew, and then the tooth ran back. As for what will happen to Shikamaru, I believe that Shikamaru will be fine. Even if there is a problem, there will be no problem with Naruto. Then, the spectacle that shocked the three views. I made it, and it tastes great. Naruto waved at his teeth. Come and eat, Akamaru. Just as Kiba was about to agree, when he heard Naruto only calling Akamaru, his face immediately turned down. And me? Naruto looked at Fang in surprise. Are you still there? Tooth flushed with anger, just want to curse. Naruto saw that his teeth were red and warm, so he stopped teasing his teeth and said with a smile. Come here, I have a place for you. Tooth suddenly snorted. You are wise. Saying that, he sat down and began to fight with Choji. Senju Hashirama stretched out his hand several times, but was snatched away by the two first, and said helplessly. Can you save a piece for me? Senju Tobirama snatched a piece from both of them by virtue of his speed. Brother, your speed is too slow, don't you know that a dinner table is like a battlefield? Hands are fast and hands are slow. Saying that, Senju Tobirama put the grilled meat that he managed to snatch into his mouth. The moment the grilled meat entered his mouth, Senju Tobirama's eyes widened immediately. It's so delicious, and I can taste it, Naruto said in surprise. So you can't taste it? Senju Hashirama nodded. After all, our bodies are special and we don't feel anything. This is also for better fighting. A body that will not die, will not be disturbed by feelings, and can always exert the strongest strength in theory. Although, this sacrificial body limits our strength. Senju Tobirama said with a sigh. How many years has it been since I ate barbecue? The last time I ate it was in the village. The Akamichi family's barbecue is really unique. With their technology and the meat you provided, it will probably be the most delicious food in the world. It was so delicious, Naruto said pretending to be dissatisfied. Could it be that my barbecue skills are not good? Then you can grill. With that said, he handed over the tool to Senju Tobirama and let him bake it by himself. Senju Tobirama did not refuse, and directly took some meat and ran to the other side to grill it himself. Obviously felt that he couldn't grab the two teenagers, so he had to start a new one by himself. Senju Hashirama took a look and immediately leaned over. He was ashamed to snatch the meat of these teenagers, but he naturally ate the meat roasted by his brother with peace of mind, and he didn't feel any guilt for snatching it. Where is the barbecue? Why is it gone? Choji stretched out his chopsticks and found that the barbecue was gone, scratching his ears anxiously. Naruto said angrily. If you want to eat, you can grill it yourself. I'm not just grilling meat for you. I haven't eaten a bite yet, grandson. Although through the mouth of the Avatar, Naruto has already experienced the taste of these roasted meats. But after all, I haven't eaten it myself, so the feeling must be different. But all the grilled meat from before went into Choji Kazuba's belly, and he didn't get a single piece of it. Feeling depressed, Choji went straight to the gun. Choji saw that Naruto was angry, and immediately laughed. Then I'll bake. The fierce battle lasted for a long time. Suddenly, Shino Shikamaru and others found that something seemed wrong. What's going on? How do you feel that the number of enemies has increased? Shikamaru struggled to control the enemies around him. At this moment, 3 Raikages were mobbing to see him. If Shikamaru remembers correctly, these people should have their own opponents. As a result, now, it turned out that he was alone against the 3 Raikages. That's too much for me. Now Shikamaru barely controls 1, 2, 3rd generation and 3 Raikage. But there is a risk of getting out of trouble at any time. After all, the physical strength of these 3 is too strong, and Shikamaru is no match at all. Now being able to forcibly control the 3 of them is also the result of his hard work. If there is no one to share it for him, he will not be able to bear it. Let me help you. Expansion Jutsu, Meatball Chariot. Suddenly, Choji's voice came to the king. Before Shikamaru could show surprise on his face, he turned his head and saw a huge figure covering the sky. Oh my god. Shikamaru let out an exclamation. Choji, how did you get so big? Shikamaru is all too familiar with Choji's expansion jutsu. After all, friends who have played since childhood. But now, Choji's expansion jutsu is completely beyond Shikamaru's imagination. The original expansion jutsu at most made Choji a 300 giant of 5 or 6 meters. But now, say 5 or 6 kilometers, although it can't compare with Sasuke's Susanoo, its size is not much worse than the tailed beast. And the Choji of this size uses a meat bomb chariot with good destructive power. It can only be said that the effect is very amazing. Boom. There was a huge roar, and a mushroom cloud appeared on the ground. Shikamaru looked at the place with trepidation. Just now he was standing there, controlling the 3 shadows. If he hadn't realized something was wrong and got out of the way in time, he would have been crushed by Choji's meat bomb chariot together. Choji. Are you trying to kill me? Shikamaru couldn't help but let out a roar. But Choji staggered back to his original size, his eyes turned into mosquito-repellent eyes. Sorry, I can't control myself. It's really too much energy in the body. I have to vent some. Shikamaru looked at Choji speechlessly, suddenly felt something was wrong. Wait? Why do you have so many chakras? Normally you don't have so many chakras to perform such unbelievable ninjutsu. What's going on? Choji was still a little confused, but at least he was able to answer questions. It's barbecue. Naruto invited me to eat barbecue, and after eating, I felt full of strength. Just as he was talking, a beast roar was heard not far away. Then, Shikamaru and Choji turned to see a huge three-headed wolf. Wait, is that a tooth? How did his chakra become so much? Shikamaru immediately discovered the identity of the three wolves. Although I have never seen Iba use this move, the only people present who can use this move are the Iba of the Inuzuka clan. Did he also eat Naruto's barbecue? What the hell is Naruto's yakiniku? Shikamaru was shocked. Turning to look at Choji, he was still in a daze. Naruto's meat grows from trees. Choji said something confusing. Shikamaru is simply a head too big. Forget it, I'll go and see for myself. Shikamaru thinks that Choji's strength has increased significantly now, and there must be no problem with the three Raikages facing him for a short time. I might as well go and see what Naruto's barbecue is all about now. Then, Shikamaru immediately went to the boulder where Naruto was. Then, Shikamaru was shocked to see that what Choji said was true. Is there really meat growing from trees? What the hell is this? Did I fall into an illusion? Shikamaru rubbed his eyes in disbelief, and checked the flow of chakra in his body, and there was nothing abnormal. In other words, what he saw was neither illusion nor dreaming. There are really trees that grow meat, and the meat looks appetizing. Did Naruto make these succulent trees? What's so special about these trees? Choji and Iba just ate the barbecue made of these meats, so why are they so powerful all of a sudden? With these doubts, Shikamaru hurried to Naruto. Then I found that small Sakura, Ino and Hinata were also sitting around eating yakiniku. It turns out that you are all here, so I said why it feels like there are fewer and fewer people. Shikamaru suddenly realized, and asked Naruto. Naruto, what are these strange trees? How did Choji and Kiba suddenly improve so much? Naruto said with a smile. It was just a whim, I didn't expect the effect to be so good. However, this state of chakra promotion is temporary, and they are equivalent to getting a part of my chakra now. These chakra that do not belong to them can improve their strength in a short period of time, but if they are not used as soon as possible, it is likely to cause some damage to their bodies. So, you should see that their ninjutsu is a little too exaggerated? Shikamaru nodded and spoke in English. Exaggeration. I was almost crushed by Choji. Fortunately, I realized something was wrong and got out of the way in time. Naruto smiled and said, sit down and eat some, anyway, you definitely don't have the appetite of the two of them, and the amount of chakra that can be increased will not be too much. And after fighting for such a long time, you should recover some strength. Shikamaru slumped down, and began to eat unceremoniously. Talk while eating. Are you planning to increase our combat experience? It is very rare to be able to fight against the past generations of shadows. Naruto said with a smile. As expected of you, you are the only one who discovered my purpose. That's why, in order to let you have as much combat experience as possible, I didn't take action, and I'm helping you recover. Little Sakura said. If you ignore the weird meat tree, these barbecues are really delicious. Ino nodded repeatedly. That's right, that's right. It was so delicious. Before Shikamaru tasted the deliciousness, he also noticed a lot of energy contained in these cow meat. After these energies are ingested, they immediately start to be automatically converted into chakra, replenishing what was consumed before. Indeed, it is of great help in restoring combat effectiveness. Now we can fight as much as we want, until you wait until the time is right. Naruto said with a smile when he heard this. As expected of you, Yi. Hinata asked curiously. What is the right time? Shikamaru looked at Naruto, who shook his head slightly. Shikamaru understood immediately, and instead of explaining, he said vaguely. Naruto is actually waiting for an opportunity. As for what this opportunity is, it is hard to say now. When the time is right, you will know. Hinata nodded ignorantly. She just asked curiously, and was more concerned about what Naruto wanted to do. Since it was inconvenient to say, she didn't ask any more questions. Why don't you eat more grilled meat grilled by Naruto himself? It is so delicious. Hinata's chopsticks don't even stop. The others had already eaten and left, but Hinata didn't notice. It's really lucky. Senju Hashirama looked at Hinata and couldn't help sighing. It was the first time he saw such an edible little girl, and she didn't look fat at all. The little fat guy from the Akamichi clan just now probably couldn't eat 1/3 of the little girl from the Hyuga clan. And she's still eating. This is not her limit. Senju Hashirama is really a knife-pull ass, opened his eyes. Hearing what Senju Hashirama said, Hinata realized that she seemed to have eaten a lot. Looking at the side, all the little friends who had eaten with her just now were gone. She was the only one left enjoying the grilled meat baked by Naruto himself. Turning her head, seeing Naruto's gentle expression, Hinata's face suddenly became rosy. I'm full. Hinata said against her will, and then ran away quickly. Senju Tobirama looked at his big brother speechlessly. Brother, you don't know how to read the atmosphere, do you? This little girl clearly has a special feeling for Naruto. Senju Hashirama said in surprise. But she's only 7 or 8 years old. Are children so precocious now? Senju Tobirama said helplessly. It's you who are too dull. You don't feel anything about this. Senju Hashirama said with shame. Sorry. I really want to do something wrong. Naruto smiled and continued with the grill. It's okay. This kind of thing is still too early for us. Senju Hashirama stopped talking about this topic, but asked something he was curious about. You said before that you want to use wood style to improve crops that can be produced in large quantities, so do you have a finished product now? Naruto put down the clip, clapped his hands and said. Of course there is. As he spoke, he turned his hands over, and there were already several seeds in his palms. This is the seed of potatoes, but it is difficult for ordinary potato seeds to germinate, so I made some improvements. The yield of the improved potatoes has been greatly improved. It is still impossible to express it clearly, it is better to let you see it with your own eyes. Naruto stomped his feet, and a deep pit automatically appeared on the ground. Then Naruto threw a seed in and stomped his feet. The deep pit was automatically buried immediately. After about 10 seconds, branches and leaves appeared on the ground, and flowers bloomed. Naruto said to Senju Hashirama. Okay, you can dig it out now. Senju Hashirama grabbed the branch curiously, and then pulled hard. Did not pull. Although Senju Hashirama didn't use all his strength, it wasn't that he couldn't even pull up a potato. So Senju Hashirama used both hands, hesitated a little, and didn't dare to use his full strength. He was afraid that the branches and leaves would be torn off. Don't worry, it's very tough, and it can be pulled easily. Naruto saw his worry and said with a smile. Now Senju Hashirama has no worries and pulls hard. The potatoes were finally pulled out. But the potatoes pulled out directly surprised Senju Hashirama and Senju Tobirama. This. How come there are so many of them? The Senju bar yelled in surprise. It's not that he hasn't seen how potatoes are grown, but he really hasn't seen Naruto's potatoes. There are hundreds of beans growing under this branch and leaf. No wonder he didn't pull up just now. Senju Tobirama said in amazement. If all the seeds had this yield, people would have something to eat. Then he looked up at Naruto and asked his doubts. If you don't use your wood style to accelerate, how long will it take for this seed to grow to this size at the fastest? Naruto thought for a while and said, although I haven't tried it, as long as I take good care of it, it can reach this scale in about 1.5 months. Senju Tobirama's eyes widened suddenly. A month and a half. 1.5 months can make one seed harvest hundreds of potatoes. What about 100, 1,000 seeds? Now, there will be no more hungry people in the ninja world. Senju Tobirama said with emotion. Naruto, what you do again is a great event for the benefit of the common people. I thank you for all the sacrifices you have made for all the people living in the present moment. Naruto said lightly. It's nothing, it's just handy, it doesn't take much effort at all. And since I said that I want to unify the ninja world, I naturally have to bear the corresponding responsibility. I don't want to be a tyrant or something. Senju Hashirama sighed and said. I think at that time, in order to compete for a resource-rich land, we fought fiercely with other ninjas. I don't know how much we paid for it. If I had your current idea at that time and improved it, maybe peace would come to the ninja world faster. Naruto shook his head and said, don't get fancy. At that time, many of you were troubled by hunger and the like, so you felt that if hunger was solved, there would definitely be no war. However, people's hearts are not enough to swallow elephants like snakes. Once your appetite is sated, other desires arise. At that time, wars will still occur. As long as humans are still there, even if there are no ninjas, this kind of thing will not stop, and it will even become more tragic. Senju Tobirama asked curiously. How do you know so many things? You look like 7 or 8 years old. Naruto smiled and said, because I have seen it. As for where to read it, Naruto did not say. Seeing this, Senju Tobirama didn't continue to ask. Afterwards, Naruto continued to show several seeds that had been successfully improved, which opened their eyes. Sudden. Naruto's expression was startled, and then he showed a meaningful smile. Already absorbed 6 tails? the speed has increased a lot. Senju Hashirama didn't hear Naruto's self-talk clearly, and asked curiously. What happened? Naruto shook his head. It's nothing, I'll show you this seed again. I call it the big banana technique. With that said, Naruto ripened it with wood style. A fat tree with a height of 2 or 3 meters appeared immediately beside them. It is covered with diced bananas that are more than a meter long. This, Senju Hashirama asked in surprise. I've never seen such a big banana, can I eat it? Naruto rolled his eyes speechlessly. If I can't eat it, what am I going to grow it for? As a display? Senju Hashirama scratched his head in embarrassment, then peeled off one and tasted it. Then he shook his head helplessly. No, this is not the same as barbecue, it has no taste at all. Naruto said thoughtfully. Yeah? Wait a minute. Naruto closed his eyes. After a few minutes, Naruto opened his eyes and planted another huge banana tree beside him. Then said to Senju Hashirama, try it now. Senju Hashirama asked suspiciously. How long has it been, what can change? But Senju Hashirama obediently broke off one. This time, the banana was just peeled off, and Senju Hashirama smelled a unique banana fragrance. This situation surprised Senju Hashirama immediately. He looked up at Naruto and found a gentle smile on Naruto's face. I have a better understanding of Naruto's ability in my heart. In a short period of time, it was able to make such an obvious change in this super long banana. It's amazing. However, when Senju Hashirama took the first bite, he realized that he had completely underestimated Naruto's abilities. He can taste the taste of bananas. I couldn't even eat it before. And not only that, the taste of this banana is more delicious than all the bananas he has eaten before his death. Senju Hashirama immediately gobbled it up. Senju Tobirama said with surprise on his face. How did you do it? Obviously there was no taste before, but after only a few minutes, we can make bananas that we can eat. Naruto shrugged and said calmly. There is already a lesson from the meat tree. It is not so difficult to make food that can make you eat it. Song just needs to experiment a few times. Actually, in just a few minutes, Naruto had 1,000 clones carry out targeted training immediately, and after tens of thousands of trainings, they cultivated a banana that could make the body of Impure World Reincarnation eat the taste. If Naruto didn't have a clone, even if he wanted to improve the bananas to this extent, it would take dozens of hours. But Naruto's avatar itself is Naruto's biggest cheat. The involution system allows Naruto to lead the entire ninja world to involute, and it can only be done by relying on Naruto's invincible clones. With a team of 3,000 clones, no matter what Naruto does, he can achieve twice the result with half the effort. It is precisely because of this that Naruto was able to lead Konoha to the level of unifying the ninja world at this age. Senju Tobirama saw that his elder brother was really ecstasy in eating, so he broke off a piece out of curiosity and ate it. After eating, Senju Tobirama couldn't help sighing. The civilians who can live under your rule are really too happy. And for a mass-produced fruit like this, you must have prepared more than one kind, or even more than 2 or 3 kinds. Although I haven't talked to you much, I can see that you are a perfect person. Before the matter is not sure, it will definitely not be raised to anyone, or done. Naruto said with a smile. That's right, I never fight an unsure battle. Senju Tobirama said with twinkling eyes. So, you know how to deal with Uchiha Madara who collected the tailed beast. What are you going to do? Naruto smiled and put it off. Mountain people plan on their own. You don't need to worry about that. However, you can continue to consider my previous proposal. Senju Tobirama turned to look at his brother. I don't want it anymore, but you can persuade my elder brother. If you want to promote these abundant fruit crops, you can ask my elder brother to help. Not to mention, in terms of Woodstyle's talent, my elder brother's talent can be said to be second only to yours. Naruto turned to look at Senju Hashirama and said. And what do you think? Senju Hashirama, who was eating happily, was taken aback for a moment. What were you talking about? Naruto and Senju Tobirama looked at each other with helplessness on their faces. Naruto waved his hand and said. It's nothing, you continue to eat, I can't make it if it's not enough. Unexpectedly, Senju Hashirama shook his head and said. No. I probably already know how this tree was created. You should have put a lot of Yangdan chakra in there, right? Only Yangdan chakra's rich vitality can create such a plant with an extraordinary yield. Naruto looked at Senju Hashirama in surprise, clapped his hands and said. As expected, Mr. First Hokage is really extraordinary in the unspoken wood style. It's amazing. Then I wonder if Master Senju Hashirama can demonstrate it to me? Senju Hashirama quickly ate the banana in his hand, then closed his eyes and meditated for a while. Then he opened his eyes and said, I'll give it a try first and see if it works. As he spoke, Senju Hashirama let out a low cry and clapped his hands suddenly. With a snap, a banana tree quickly grew on the ground. The top is quickly covered with bananas, but in terms of size, compared with Naruto's banana, it is about half a meter broken. Although it is still very long, it is not so shocking when compared with Naruto's banana tree. Ding. You have successfully introverted. You have obtained 10,000 introversion points. Naruto ignored it. Now such system prompts have been ignored by Naruto. Because the system prompts will jump every few minutes, and the involution value of each harvest is not equal. There are at least a dozen points, but it may reach hundreds or thousands of points. With little accumulation, Naruto's involution value has reached a very high level. I just came to the lottery draw to see if I can get any good things. Naruto thought so, and immediately ordered the system in his mind. Soon, the roulette wheel that was played appeared in front of Naruto and was spinning rapidly. After 3 seconds, following Naruto's command, the roulette stopped quickly. You have obtained the natural energy extraction method, human. You can extract the natural energy that is ubiquitous in the world into your body, mix it with chakra in a certain proportion, and then you can enter the state of immortality, and the power of immortality will be greatly improved. Wong. A move that combines offense and defense. And it seems to be a natural energy extraction method suitable for human beings. That's good, so you don't need to learn ninjutsu from the frogs on Mount Myoboku. After all, it's Toad's fairy manipulation, even if they thought of a way to increase the success rate. But after all, the risk is too great, and it is not suitable for human beings to practice. It's not that Naruto didn't think about immortality. But currently there are only 3 holy places who know how to perform immortal arts. The Senjutsu mode of the Wet Bone Forest has not been revealed, and the Senjutsu of Ryuchi Cave looks like a monster, which Naruto doesn't like. As for Mount Myoboku's Senjutsu, it looks normal. But when he thought of those statues that turned into toads after failure, Naruto immediately dismissed the idea. In Naruto's view, the strength he possesses now, even without celestial arts, is enough to defeat Uchiha Madara in 6 paths mode. So there is no need to force immortality. But now that there is a way to safely absorb natural energy, why would Naruto give up this useful energy? After fusing Shanshu Chakra and Nine Tails Chakra, his strength can also be greatly improved. At that time, even Uchiha Madara in 6 paths mode will be easily defeated by Naruto, right? Let the avatars practice first, and if Uchiha Madara is strong enough, then I will use Shienju. If Uchiha Madara is too weak, there is no need to use it. Although I have seen how powerful Madara's 6 paths mode is in the previous life, but now he is in the ninja world, and has raised his own strength to a very high level. This made it impossible for Naruto to accurately grasp the gap with 6 paths Uchiha Madara. Whether he is stronger or Uchiha Madara is stronger. Naruto is confident that he must be stronger. But after all, I haven't seen the 6 paths mode with my own eyes, so I still have to make all the preparations. Now that Uchiha Madara has got 6 tails, only 7 tails, 8 tails and 9 tails inside me are left. What on earth is he going to do? Naruto thought with interest. At this time, he finds someone approaching Uchiha Madara. Impressively Orochimaru. This aroused Naruto's curiosity. Why did Orochimaru seek Uchiha Madara at this time? Is it about the 9 tails solution? Naruto thought curiously. When talking with Senju Hashirama and the others, he also did not forget to pay attention to the situation on Uchiha Madara. And Uchiha Madara also discovered Orochimaru for the first time. Who is it? Uchiha Madara turned her head and drank coldly. Orochimaru quickly emerged from the ground. It's me. Uchiha Madara's vigilance is slightly lowered, but he is still frowning. What are you doing here? Could it be that the bodies of those 2 people have been found? Orochimaru nodded and said, your current events are sufficient, because Naruto has been staying in one place, and I have sent shadows from other ninja villages other than Konoha to hinder his footsteps. Upon hearing this, Uchiha Madara immediately said with satisfaction, those trash are not strong enough, but it should be no problem to delay Naruto's footsteps. Orochimaru complained silently in his heart. If you know that Naruto eats barbecue with Senju Hashirama again, you will definitely not think so. But Orochimaru kept the morale-damaging news under wraps. And it doesn't make sense either. Uchiha Madara nodded in relief, and his face became serious in an instant. I still need to go get 7 tails and 8 tails, and I'll go find you after that. Orochimaru frowned. Can't we absorb 9 tails chakra in advance? Uchiha Madara said. Everything needs to be done step by step, and the time to collect all the tail beasts is close at hand. What are you anxious about? Of course, I was afraid that Naruto could call at my door at any time. Orochimaru muttered in his heart, but said in his mouth. I'm just worried about having long nights and long dreams. Snort. Uchiha Madara snorted coldly and said. You're wasting our precious time right now. If you know the whereabouts of Seven Tails, please tell me. Otherwise, don't bother me to catch the tail beast. Of course Orochimaru knew about Seven Tails' whereabouts. His eyeliner can be said to be all over the entire ninja world. Seven Tails should be in Longyan village now. If you don't go there sooner, Konoha's people will rush to conquer Longyan village. Uchiha Madara's eyes lit up, and then he identified the direction and flew away quickly. Orochimaru looked helplessly at the direction Uchiha Madara left, shrugged and said. He's really impatient. Afterwards, Yin Shiwan's face became serious. There is one more thing he didn't tell Uchiha Madara. But this matter Orochimaru has not yet confirmed, so it is impossible to say what is speculated. That's what setbacks for the Impure World Reincarnation Body Core. All the Kage were sent by Orochimaru to attack Naruto's side. Although Naruto didn't even move. The other Impure World Reincarnation bodies were sent by Orochimaru to attack Konoha's forces that conquered each ninja village. From Orochimaru's point of view, Naruto certainly couldn't just sit back and let these people die. So Naruto will definitely take action to save these people. However, Naruto never moved his position in 10 places from the beginning to the end. But those Impure World Reincarnation bodies were sealed one by one. There will even be some inexplicable clones, and the strength of these clones is even stronger than the deity of the Impure World Reincarnation body. This left Orochimaru with nowhere to reason. In short, for various reasons, the plan to use the Impure World Reincarnation body to delay the pace can be said to have failed. However, it is not a complete failure. At least, Naruto still hasn't left that position. This led Orochimaru to conjecture. Perhaps Naruto did it on purpose. He also wanted Uchiha Madara to collect all the tail beasts, and then revive 10 tails to become the so-called 10 tails Jinchuriki. But in this case, the idea that 9 tails is in Naruto's body is totally unreasonable. Unless, Naruto knows that there are other people with 9 tails chakra in their bodies. But it's impossible. Uzumaki Naruto has never experienced that war at all, and he shouldn't know about these ninja secrets. What gave Naruto confidence? Or, Naruto simply can't find Uchiha Madara's whereabouts. The more Orochimaru thought about it, the more confused he became. I don't want to waste my brain cells at all. Forget it. What's the use of thinking so much? Their fighting level has nothing to do with me. Just side by side, I'm afraid I will have no bones left. I'd better stay behind the scenes honestly. The other side. Uchiha Madara got the information from Orochimaru, and rushed to Takehide village quickly. At this time, Takehide village has already fallen into battle. Konoha's conquest team has arrived here and is fighting with the ninjas in Takehide village. And in the battle circle, the scarlet person with 7 tails immediately attracted Uchiha Madara's attention. Found it. Uchiha Madara parted her mouth in a cruel smile. Not so much nonsense. In a hurry, Uchiha Madara went straight to Susanoo. The 1,000-meter-high giant suddenly appeared on the battlefield, immediately attracting everyone's attention. Afterwards, Uchiha directly suppressed the 7 tails human calendar with great strength. But in the process of suppression, it is inevitable that Konoha's ninja will be accidentally injured. Uchiha Madara didn't take it to heart. It's just a group of little guys who can't get on the board, and they don't deserve his attention at all. However, Uchiha Madara immediately felt a killing intent that made his hair stand on end. Not because the killing intent is too huge, but because this killing intent is too familiar. He even almost died in the hands of the master of this killing intent. How can it be? Uchiha Madara looked back in disbelief in the direction of the killing intent. Then he was very surprised to see someone who shouldn't be here. Uzumaki Naruto. No, that guy Orochimaru said that Uzumaki Naruto has been staying in one place without moving. Why did you suddenly appear in front of me? Could it be that Orochimaru betrayed me? Only in this way, Orochimaru will lie to me, just to lure me into being fooled. Uchiha Madara gritted her teeth. 7 tails, 8 tails and 9 tails are also required to awaken 10 tails. Now that the 7 tails have been obtained, as long as the 8 tails and part of the chakra of the 9 tails are absorbed, Uchiha Madara can awaken the 10 tails, and then absorb the 10 tails into the 10 tails Jinchuriki. Only in this way, Uchiha Madara will be able to gain the power to fight Naruto. But now, Naruto's sudden appearance undoubtedly put Uchiha Madara in trouble. Even if Uchiha Madara gets away again this time, if Orochimaru betrays him, he will not be able to use Impure World Reincarnation to absorb the 9 tails chakra that is not in Naruto's body. In this case, Uchiha Madara's plan will be stillborn. Uchiha Madara is not willing to face such an ending. He paid so much for this, just to give himself the power to change the world. Even if Project Tsuki no Mi was fooled by Black Zetsu, at least using 10 tails to improve one's own strength is undoubtedly the correct behavior. Uchiha Madara, how dare you hurt Konoha's Toya? On the opposite side, Naruto's face was gloomy, with murderous intent in his eyes. With a swish in his hand, an oversized Rasengan was condensed. The diameter instantly exceeded tens of meters. Even with Susanoo, who is thousands of meters high, it is difficult for Uchiha Madara to guarantee that he can block the opponent's attack. Hateful. There are only a few steps left in the plan. Uchiha Madara's face was full of dissatisfaction. He kept nodding his head and looking around, trying to find a way to crack it. A direct confrontation is definitely invincible. So all Uchiha Madara can do is escape. But how to escape is also very particular. Turning around and running away straight away, it is obviously impossible to survive. So, something else has to catch Naruto's eye. Soon, Uchiha Madara found his target. On the ground, among the Konoha shinobi who were looking up at themselves, there was a special Jonin whose chakra volume was around the level of a Jonin. This is Mitarashi Anko. Uchiha Madara didn't know that Anko was Orochimaru's previous experiment. But even if he knew, he wouldn't care. Even sacrificing Orochimaru is not out of the question for Uchiha Madara. But Orochimaru certainly wouldn't give him that chance. I didn't see that I had already betrayed to Naruto, and even came to show Uchiha Madara the way here. In reality, however, Orochimaru hadn't betrayed him at all. What appeared here was just a clone of Naruto. It's still pretty strong, but not enough to kill Uchiha Madara. After all, Uchiha Madara's recovery ability is also very strong. Uchiha Madara abruptly cancelled Susanoo, no more wasting pupil power. Then, the whole person fell from the air to the ground like a cannonball. Mitarashi Anko saw that the target of the man in the sky was himself, and his face changed suddenly. Although I had a special assault training with Naruto for a while. But I want Anko to fight against the former ninja god Uchiha Madara. Obviously it's a bit too strong. Damn. Why are you targeting me all of a sudden? Anko cursed viciously in a low voice, then rushed towards the forest beside him. Since the enemy is targeting her, she should stay away from other Konoha shinobi warriors. If it affects those people, I'm afraid there will be heavy casualties easily. What is the origin of this guy? I don't even know him, but he came here to trouble me. Anko didn't see the Naruto clone in the sky. After all, the sky is too high, and the weather here is covered by dark clouds. It is obviously very difficult to see a point in the sky thousands of meters high. Although afterwards Anko saw the chakra ball that suddenly appeared in the sky. But she didn't know that was Naruto's move. So, after a short thought, Anko concluded that it is absolutely impossible to let the enemy get close to other ninjas. Even if it would definitely cost her her life. Want to escape? If you escape, I won't be able to jump. After Uchiha Madara landed, he did not pursue Anko immediately. Instead, take the Seven Tails Jinchuriki who suppressed the coma before going after Anko. Because Uchiha Madara is confident in his speed, what a special Jonin, trying to escape from his grasp. That is absolutely impossible. Uchiha Madara swooped down, and Naruto landed quickly with that huge Rasengan. The two entered the forest one after the other. Only a group of ninjas were left watching with big eyes and small eyes. They suddenly realized that it was completely unnecessary for them to fight to the death. Just now, the giant chakra who was over 1,000 meters high was not something they could deal with. The surviving people couldn't help but rejoice that the target of the giant that appeared this time was not them. Otherwise, the last Longyan village might be hidden and destroyed. This can be regarded as a crooked attack. Stop. I'm going to teach you a thorough lesson today, so that you can understand who can be messed with and who can't be messed with. Naruto's avatar yelled, put his hands behind his back, and posed in a classic ninja run. The huge Rasengan stands out behind him. It's hard not to notice. We must catch that little devil in front as soon as possible. Fire style huge fire extinction. A huge fireball like a meteorite quickly flew towards Anko who was fleeing in front. Sensing the high temperature behind him, Anko just glanced back secretly. At any time, Anko immediately moved to the left, trying his best to avoid the fatal attack. This is a big move he has never seen before. And the power is extremely powerful. It doesn't look like the power that an A-level ninjutsu can have. Boom, there was a loud bang. Mitarashi Anko only felt a huge thrust coming from behind him, and his whole body was pushed away directly. Her body hit the rock wall heavily, and she passed out directly. And the forest here was directly destroyed by the fire-style ninjutsu of Uchiha class. The rest were also burned by the scorching flames, and if they were left unattended, they would only become a piece of white ground. But Uchiha Madara did nothing but unleash a deadly fire-style attack on Anko. Seeing that the huge great fireball was about to fall on Anko, a figure appeared in front of the fireball in an instant, and scattered the fireball with the big ball Rasengan in his hand. But Uchiha Madara had no intention of killing Anko. He just wanted to use Anko to contain Naruto's clone so that he could escape. Just like now, using Anko's life as a threat, Naruto's avatar must take his moves head-on. This allowed Uchiha Madara to escape. Although, Uchiha Madara doesn't know that what is in front of him is just a clone. If he knew, he'd have to run away anyway. The strength of this avatar is impressive. And the avatar is here, doesn't it mean that the main body is not far from here? If he is held back by this clone, won't he have to face Naruto? Uchiha Madara, who is not yet fully prepared, does not want to face Naruto at this time. Great opportunity, hurry up and find a hidden place to absorb chakra from Seven Tails. Uchiha Madara escapes as fast as he can. It jumped hundreds of meters almost in the blink of an eye, and disappeared in people's eyes. But in fact, all actions of Uchiha Madara are still under Naruto's surveillance. After all, his observation hockey network is still in coverage. At this moment, after witnessing Uchiha Madara's escape plan, the Naruto body next to the boulder couldn't help but smile. Did he escape smoothly? Fortunately, if the clone kills him, it would be boring. Who escaped? Senju Hashirama asked curiously. Naruto came back to his senses, shook his head and said, "Nothing, just observed an interesting situation." Senju Tobirama looked at Naruto, equally curious. "Are you still a sentient ninja?" Naruto shook his head and said, "Not all of it, but it does feel part of it. It's my shadow clone, and an interesting guy was observed in the distance. I sneaked into a battlefield, but was immediately scared by my clone and fled. It feels very funny." Senju Tobirama frowned. He didn't feel that there was anything funny in this remark. But Senju Tobirama doesn't want to get entangled here, he has more curious things. "You said earlier that you would promote these crops. So how are you going to promote it?" Naruto said with a smile. "I just need to show these things, and naturally countless people will find ways to promote them for me. Nobody ever has trouble with more food." Senju Hashirama frowned and smiled. "But what should you do if those profiteers control the method and don't pass it on to the common people? And in some countries, some civilians don't have land for planting at all. Even if they have land for planting, it is all land owned by local landlords. After these landlords have more grain, it should be impossible to give the grain to the common people, right? After all, those landlords don't treat civilians as human beings at all." As someone who came from the chaotic days of Sengoku, Hashirama knows all too well how those with wealth treat ordinary people. It was extremely cruel. So Senju Hashirama instinctively felt that Naruto's plan was not reliable. After all, Naruto's plan is almost equal to nothing. However, Naruto just smiled after hearing his words. The eyes became a little cold. "If that's the case, that's fine. I'm worried I don't have enough reason." Senju Hashirama looked blank, not knowing what Naruto was talking about. Senju Tobirama understood immediately, and asked with a frown, "Are you going to get rid of those landlords? But if you do it, it will cause the nobles of the whole country to." Suddenly, Senju Tobirama was stunned, and what he wanted to say stopped. He looked at Naruto, his complexion became extremely complicated. Naruto said with a smile, "Why don't you continue talking?" Senju Tobirama sighed and said, "So, you use such an outrageous method to unify the ninja world? Do you want to be the king of all? Be the leader of all?" Naruto nodded and said proudly, "The nobles and daimyos of various countries occupy a large amount of wealth all the year round, but many commoners below cannot even afford enough to eat. I can't stand this kind of deformed social situation. So, it's better for me to make a move to completely change the status quo of this world." Naruto paused, and said with extremely sharp eyes, "Since I said that I want to unify the ninja world, then naturally the development of the entire ninja world is up to me. Anyone who dares to defy me, I will not easily bypass them." Senju Hashirama said with a blank face, "What are you guys saying?" Senju Tobirama sighed and said, "What Naruto means is that he wants to completely change the whole world, and even destroy the existing aristocratic system." Senju Hashirama frowned when he heard that. "So, what are you talking about? Why didn't I understand?" Senju Tobirama rolled his eyes, too lazy to continue explaining to his elder brother. "It's really exhausting," Naruto said with a smile. "You just need to know that under my leadership, those who oppress the people will no longer exist." Senju Hashirama said suddenly, "That's a good thing. If the common people can be protected, that's naturally the best." "Good job, I'm sure you can do well, Naruto. Naruto lifted his head proudly. Of course, if nothing else, it must be better than you two losers. The Senju brothers suddenly stared at Naruto with dead fish eyes. Naruto laughed out loud. Just kidding, don't take it seriously. Come on. Let's continue eating barbecue. Senju Tobirama stood up and said. No, although it's been a long time since I ate something and the taste is very memorable, but I'm already dead after all, and it doesn't make any sense to continue eating. On the contrary, these plants, I really want to study them carefully. See if you can ditch wood style and work it out. Senju Hashirama also said. I've eaten enough, it's time to digest. Senju Tobirama takes a close look at these plants that Naruto has wrung out. Senju Hashirama left the protective range of Naruto's seal and came outside. He wants to be active, with the addition of Senju Hashirama. These former shadows were quickly defeated. Just the arrival of a tree world made them tired of coping. Senju Tobirama saw his big brother make a move, so naturally he couldn't be idle. It just so happened that the sealing technique he provided could limit the mobility of these filth reincarnated bodies. That way, they don't need to be harassed by these impure world reincarnation bodies all the time. As for Naruto, he still sits by the boulder, but he put away those barbecue grills and things like that. Instead, the strange trees next to him remained. The battle is over quickly. All the little powerhouses gathered around Naruto. Sasuke frowned when he saw the weird tree with flesh. What is this? He turned his head to look at Naruto. In his knowledge, only Naruto could make this kind of thing. Is this meat edible? Naruto didn't answer, so he spoke first. Of course it can be eaten. We already ate it, and Naruto baked it for us. When Sasuke heard this, his eyes froze. Naruto baked it himself. And he didn't eat it. Sasuke immediately looked at Choji with unfriendly eyes, as if he wanted to get some meat off Choji's body. Choji trembled from being stared at, and couldn't help hiding behind him. Shikamaru was helpless. You're so fat, you can't stop hiding behind me. You say I'm fat? Choji froze for a moment, and looked at Shikamaru in disbelief, as if hurt by Shikamaru's words. Shikamaru reacted and said hastily, I mean strong, you are so prosperous. Definitely not fat, Choji said angrily. You're calling me fat. Boom. Shikamaru was punched and flew, and grunted a few times on the ground. It can be seen that the time is really angry. Fang stared blankly at Shikamaru lying on the ground. Good guy, Shikamaru was beaten to death, right? Ino said indifferently. It doesn't matter. Shikamaru's life is at stake, and with Naruto around, even if he really dies, Naruto can save him. Why? Ya thought about it, and then ran to the meat tree on his own, and picked 2 large pieces of meat. Naruto, where is the barbecue station? Seeing this, Naruto took it out from the scroll Vice Admiral. I took it to the side to roast, I don't want to smell the meat now. I ate too much just now, and now Naruto is a little overwhelmed. No matter what it is, it smells delicious when you're hungry. But once you are full, or even full, those attractive tastes become dull. Tooth happily took the barbecue table and went to the side. Others who had never eaten barbecue quickly got together. Hinata looked at the huge banana tree curiously and asked. Is this a banana? Naruto nodded and said. That's right, but with my twist, these bananas are 5 times the size of regular bananas and taste even better. If you want to eat as much as you want. Little Sakura said in amazement. Naruto-kun is really amazing, to be able to do such a thing. A tree that grows flesh, and a fruit tree that doubles in weight, is there anything else that catches the eye? Naruto thought for a while and said, yes, you wait. Naruto took out a bag from the scroll, which was filled with various seeds. All are high-quality goods after Naruto improvement. Naruto picked one of them and planted it in the ground. Subsequently, watered with Naruto's water style, the seeds quickly germinated and grew. The growth rate is very fast, almost reaching the height of half a person in the blink of an eye. This is a bunch of rice. At the top is a heavy ear of rice. It can be seen that the output is very good, even without peeling and shelling. The 3 girls, Ino, Sakura and Hinata, took a closer look curiously and found that it was not much different from ordinary rice. What's this? It feels no different from ordinary rice, but it looks a little more. Naruto said with a smile. Guess. Hearing what Naruto said, everyone was a little confused. No, isn't this just rice? What else is there to guess? The answer is already on your face. However, they quickly realized that Naruto's words were definitely not just casually. There must be something they haven't noticed. Then, they surrounded the rice, pinching their chins and frowning, concentrating on thinking. In the end, It was Senju Hashirama who sensed the anomaly in the rice. These rice, are they full of chakra? Senju Hashirama said in surprise. When the others heard it, their eyes suddenly changed. Little Sakura said in shock. Have the rice of chakra? Then if you eat it, will you be able to grow chakra? Senju Tobarama said with a serious face. If this is true, there will be a huge change in the ninja world. Wait, this change has been completed ahead of time by you. Good guy, you really made preparations in advance. Senju Tobarama looked at Naruto, who was smiling without saying a word, in shock. The others also looked at Naruto in shock. Even if they are not very old, they also know what chakra means to ninjas. If ninjutsu is a machine, then chakra is the fuel that makes the machine move. And the more fuel, the wider the time and range that the machine can move. This also means that the power of ninjutsu will become stronger and spread to a wider range. Under everyone's expectant eyes, Naruto said slowly. According to my estimation, eating these rices for a year will almost be able to have the amount of chakra of a genin. Chakra that can be obtained directly without refining. And it still increases the reserve limit of chakra. When everyone heard it, their mouths widened again. If it is true as Naruto said, ninjas will be crazy about these rice. Senju Hashirama asked, can these rice seeds spread? Naruto nodded. Nature is ready to plant. And according to the temperature and soil environment of the non-stop places, I have specially made targeted protection. In order to increase the survival probability of the seeds. Ino opened his mouth in shock. Wow, Naruto, you are amazing. Naruto smiled and said, so far from the rice I expected. In my vision, rice will enlighten all children, allowing them to unlock the ability to acquire chakra on their own. In this way, there will be an era of ninjas for all people in the future. Senju Tobarama frowned. Although your idea is very good, but the number of ninjas increases, won't the battles become more and more? Management will also become more and more chaotic for a long time. Facing Senju Tobarama's questioning, Naruto showed a confident smile. Of course not. As long as there is an absolute force controlling the overall situation, such a thing cannot happen. And Naruto smiled and didn't continue talking. But from somewhere else came Naruto's voice. And with us monitoring all over the world, it is absolutely impossible for what you said to happen. The others looked back in surprise, and found that hundreds of Naruto clones had appeared around them at some point. They were surprised by the number of clones, and also surprised that they didn't perceive the clones' arrival at all. Senju Tobarama blurted out. Multiple shadow clone technique? Could it be that the incredible power you possess is actually the use of multiple shadow clone techniques? Wait. But if this is the case, a large number of shadow clones' memories of chi will make you mentally collapse. Why do you seem to have nothing? Senju Hashirama froze. Multiple shadow clone? Isn't that a move you listed as a forbidden technique for some reason? Could this thing also increase strength? Shikamaru said in shock. Naruto, you've been sneaking away with shadow clone all this time? No wonder we haven't been able to catch up with you. Sasuke clenched his fists, and finally understood the real reason why he couldn't catch up with Naruto. Damn it, I will use multiple shadow clones to practice tomorrow. Senju Tobarama gave his elder brother a white look and said. That is to say, chakra monsters like you, the group will look down on the chakra consumption of multiple shadow clone. An ordinary ninja uses multiple shadow clone, and it is very likely that he will die. That's why I listed it as a forbidden technique. Then, Tate Tobarama said to Sasuke. That Uchiha kid, if you want to use shadow clone, you better not use multiple shadow clone. Although I don't know how Naruto did it, but if you follow his example, there will only be one ending. That is to be able to collapse and die. Sasuke froze and said. If Naruto can do it, so can I. Naruto shook his head and said. Sasuke, you really can't do this. After all, our physiques are different, and our resistance to mental shock is also different. I can bear it, but it doesn't mean you can bear it too. Senju Hashirama said, still in a daze. So, how does multiple shadow clone help in cultivation? Senju Tobarama sighed helplessly and said. Brother, remember the difference between shadow clone and other clone techniques? Senju Hashirama scratched his head, he really doesn't know. Shino pushed the glasses frame and said. The biggest difference between shadow clone and clone is that shadow clone is an entity, while clone is a false body. Senju Tobarama shook his head and said, wrong. I'm talking about the difference with other clones, except for clone technique. Other clones such as water clones, earth clones, etc. are entities. What makes shadow clone really different from other clones is that each shadow clone can move independently. In other words, they are individuals, each with their own memories. When the shadow clone is released, these memories will flood into the mind of the main body. So when you want to practice a certain ninjutsu, summon a large number of shadow clone to train at the same time, which can achieve a quick and short-term effect. But the price is that the influx of memories has a high probability of causing the main body's spirit to collapse. Saying that, Senju Tobirama looked at Naruto and asked, "Looking at your current strength, you must have used more than these avatars, but how did you manage to bear this?" Naruto said with a smile, "It's very simple, I improved the effect of shadow clone. Besides, my spiritual world is very solid, even if the shadow clone stepped forward and poured memories into my mind at the same time, I will not be shaken in the slightest." Hearing that Naruto improved shadow clone, Senju Tobirama frowned immediately. "What improvements did you make?" Naruto held up his right hand, making an interdigital universe between his thumb and forefinger. "Just a little bit. I improved the drawback that shadow clone can only transfer memory when it is removed. My shadow clone, even when it's not released, can still transfer memories to my brain." Senju Tobirama's eyes widened in shock. "What? It's impossible." Senju Hashirama was a bit puzzled by Senju Tobirama's reaction. "What's the matter? It sounds like there's nothing wrong with it." Shikamaru frowned and said, "There is no distance limit to the accepted range?" Naruto nodded. Shikamaru's eyes widened suddenly. "That is to say, if you spread your avatars all over the ninja world, you have an intelligence network that can deliver any news at any time?" When the others heard it, they finally understood how powerful Naruto's transformation was. No wonder Senju Tobirama was so shocked, because he immediately thought of this possibility. All the ninjas present knew the importance of intelligence to ninjas. For example, A is going to sneak attack B, but B knows that A is going to sneak attack himself before it starts, and knows all the ninjutsu and shortcomings that A is good at. In this case, no matter how powerful A is, in the end there is only death. Certainly. The exception is if A is a top player like Senju Hashirama. For such a master, any traps and the like are meaningless. Only the strength enough to fight against it is the right way. "Can I learn this trick?" Tooth said excitedly. "I want to become stronger too. I don't want to be left too far behind by you." Naruto smiled slightly. "Of course, but I suggest you don't use more than 5 shadow clone at a time. When you get used to it, you can increase the number of shadow clone independently, but don't force it. There is no need to train yourself when you are practicing." Suddenly, as if thinking about, Naruto said to Xiao Li, "After my improved shadow clone, the 8 inner gates can also be liberated. That is to say, you can let shadow clone use the dead door, and then transfer the memory to you, so that you have the experience of using the dead door." Senju Tobirama said in shock, "You even increased the strength of shadow clone? What else do you not know?" Naruto smiled slightly and said, "I think there are not many things in this world that I don't know how to do. If you have to say it, the only thing I can't do is have a baby. That's something only girls can do." Everyone was speechless. Shikamaru covered his cheek. "At such a shocking moment, you still have the heart to joke." The super strength displayed by Naruto has already shocked the Shaoqiang. Results now. Another magical plant fruit has been improved, and ninjutsu can also be improved. Simply an all-rounder. Especially the various applications of shadow clone shocked them even more. Although Shikamaru and the others didn't know what state the 8 inner gates would be in after opening the dead door, they also asked Xiao Li. Xiao Li's answer at the time was that if he opened the door to death, he would die because of the probability. That's why it's called the Gate of Death. As a result, now, under Naruto's improved shadow clone, it is completely possible to use shadow clone to adapt to the state after the dead door is opened. In this way, it can perfectly avoid the situation that the main body cannot adapt to the dead door calendar after opening the dead door. That is to say, if it is possible to kick a target to death with one kick, it will not happen that the target is not killed because of a lack of control over the power, but kicking the wrong position. This will undoubtedly increase the error tolerance rate of moves such as 8 inner gates. And now that shadow clone can use 8 inner gates. That can completely allow several shadow clones to open the door of death together, and by then no opponent may be able to survive. Simply terrifying. Naruto, you are a genius. Shikamaru couldn't help sighing. Senju Tobirama also nodded repeatedly. I didn't expect the ninjutsu I created to be able to do this in your hands. It really puts me to shame, Naruto said modestly. This is just a small improvement, and I'm just improving on your basis. I haven't really created my own ninjutsu yet. The others were speechless for a moment. Is this still called a small improvement? Are you letting others live? You might as well blow up the moon with a ninjutsu. That's a big improvement, right? Senju Hashirama said with a sigh. It seems that our era has long passed. This is the time for you young ones. In this way, we can safely hand Konoha into your hands. Now, There is only one regret left in my heart. Senju Tobirama's expression changed. Is it Uchiha Madara? Haven't you given up on him yet? He's a madman. Obviously Naruto told him that he was cheated by that guy named Black Zetsu, but he is still stubborn. It's hopeless. Senju Hashirama shook his head and said. Madara was only momentarily led astray. I believe that he will wake up. Of course, this depends on Naruto's strength. As he spoke, he looked at Naruto, and said with a smile on his face. Sorry, I'm not Madara's opponent now, I can only let you deal with him. I hope you don't kill him. Naruto nodded. I didn't intend to kill him. His strength is very strong, just suitable for deterring one party. It is impossible for me to stare at the ninja world all the time, it is naturally the best to have such workers. Shikamaru frowned thoughtfully, then spoke suddenly. Naruto, do you know where Uchiha Madara is now? Naruto nodded. Of course I know. He is now going to the Land of Thunder. Shikamaru looked stunned. Sure enough, you just said that your avatars are distributed throughout the ninja world, and you can grasp all the situations. In that case, there's no reason why you don't know where Uchiha Madara is. So, why did you let Uchiha Madara run around in the ninja world while you waited here? Naruto said with a smile. Naturally wait for him to improve his strength, and then come and challenge me. Otherwise, unilateral crushing is not the result I want to see. Senju Tobirama said with a serious face. I know you are strong, Naruto. But you still have to be cautious, since that Uchiha Madara thinks that he can compete with you after his improved strength, it means he has such confidence. How sure are you that you can completely defeat him? Naruto shook his head and said. I don't know, but I won't lose. Naruto's face was full of confidence. Even if he said he didn't know if he could win or not. But this sentence will not lose, immediately reassuring everyone. Senju Hashirama frowned. Wait, you don't mean to die with Uchiha Madara? I advise you not to. I died with him last time, but he used secret techniques to keep himself alive. If he thinks he can't beat you, he will definitely repeat the old trick. Naruto shook his head and said, I'm confident he won't beat me. Forget it. It's hard to explain this matter in detail, anyway, you just trust me. When did I ever say something to lie to you? Teeth shook his head and said, that's not true. Sasuke snorted coldly and said, HMPH, as long as you give me that shadow clone technique and let me practice it, I can defeat that old guy myself. Naruto said with a smile, if you want to learn, tell me earlier. Shao Li immediately raised his hand high. I want to learn. I want to learn. Others also raised their hands enthusiastically. What a huge advantage Naruto's improved shadow clone has, they have just learned. Since there is an opportunity to learn, they will definitely not miss it. Soon. Under Naruto's careful teaching, everyone present learned the shadow clone technique. Naruto did not teach multiple shadow clone techniques, because he was afraid that someone would forcefully produce too many shadow clone regardless of his physical capacity, causing his own mental breakdown. It's you, Sasuke. Okay, you all have learned shadow clone. Let me see how you apply it. Naruto looked at Xiaoqiang with great interest. Don't know how these people will take advantage of shadow clone. Sasuke left alone with a cold snort without saying a word. Obviously he didn't want to practice with them. Seeing this, the others also left one after another, found an open space by themselves, and started their own cultivation methods. Boom, there was a loud bang. Immediately catches the eyes of brothers Naruto and Senju. Seeing the red steam rising into the sky, the faces of the Senju brothers became serious. It's the gate of death. That boy really followed your idea and used Shadow Clone's common sense to open the door of death. But who is that boy going to use as Shadow Clone's opponent? Thinking of this, another red steam suddenly appeared. Naruto said with a smile. It seems that he made 2 Shadow Clone. However, I guess it will be difficult for him to bear the memories that will come back later. I'd better go and have a look, in case he has a nervous breakdown. With that said, Naruto got up and walked towards the direction Shao Li left. Others use Shadow Clone to practice. At most, they suddenly have a lot of memory, coupled with physical exhaustion, resulting in mental fatigue. But Shao Li's is different. The pain suffered after opening the gate of death is equivalent to a real death. If there is a negligence, maybe because of the severe pain, the brain can't bear it, and I really think I'm dead. This is also the reason why Naruto specially called Shao Li. It was kind of Naruto to teach them Shadow Clone. But if Shao Li had an accident because of his kindness, it would not be the result Naruto wanted. When Naruto arrived, Shao Li was hugging his shoulders and holding back. In front of him, 2 Shadow Clones were fighting with red steam on their bodies. Naruto came to Shao Li and asked with a smile. What? Want to go up? I advise you not to, it is easy to cause accidents. Xiao Li nodded, trying hard to restrain his thoughts of getting out. I know. I can't bear their punch now. My shadow clone doesn't seem to be able to cope with the sudden surge in power. But after seeing the power of the Gate of Death, I also know it in my heart. In the future, when facing a powerful enemy that cannot be dealt with and must use the Door of Death, I will definitely not be as embarrassed as these shadow clones, who can't even control their strength. Naruto smiled, patted Xiao Li on the shoulder, and said nothing. Among the small strong, Xiao Li's talent is undoubtedly the lowest. If it wasn't for his will being affirmed by Might Guy, and teaching Xiao Li physical skills crazily, Xiao Li wouldn't even be qualified to become a ninja. It is precisely because of this that Xiao Li is the one who yearns for strength the most among all Xiaoqiang. But it is also the most restrained one. Even after learning 8 inner gates, a secret technique that can quickly gain strength, Xiao Li will not use it rashly, but will only open it after getting permission from Might Guy. This restraint made Naruto understand that his worries were unnecessary. Xiao Li will not do 2 reckless things. Not long after, Xiao Li's 2 avatars turned into white smoke and disappeared. All the memories held by Shadow Clone and all the feelings they felt poured into Xiaoji's mind. The death-like pain immediately poured into Xiao Li's head, causing him to roll his eyes instantly. The whole person twitched and fell down, but Naruto didn't bother. With Naruto's medical ninjutsu ability, he can confirm that Xiao Li is fine with just a glance, but the sudden feeling is too strong and he passed out. Rest for a while to recover. Shaking his head, Naruto left Xiao Li's side to watch other people's progress. The first one to meet is little Sakura. Naruto saw that little Sakura made 10 shadow clone. Including little Sakura, 11 little Sakuras are concentrating on practicing medical ninjutsu. Oh? Is this the direction you chose, little Sakura? Naruto raised his eyebrows. Under his interference, even though little Sakura had been in contact with Tsunade, she did not learn anything from Tsunade. Whether it is strange power or medical ninjutsu. But now, little Sakura still chose the track of medical ninjutsu, which made Naruto very curious. The little Sakuras raised their heads one after another, and when they saw Naruto, their faces turned red, they put down their work and moved closer to Naruto. Immediately, the surroundings of Naruto were noisy as if Sasuke was using Chidori. It was the little Sakura who couldn't stand it anymore, and shouted to disperse the clones, and the clones went back to continue practicing with great reluctance. It's just that when they're not practicing, they still watch Naruto secretly, like little girls who are pregnant. Little Sakura came to Naruto's side with some surprise. Does Naruto-kun care about me? Little Sakura is so happy. Naruto couldn't help shivering when he heard little Sakura's clip sound. Speak well, or I'll leave. The smile on little Sakura's face froze suddenly. Then he sighed and said, I also want to fight side by side with you, but I'm just an ordinary ninja, not a family ninja. I don't have family secrets, and I don't have blood inheritance limits. What I have is just a finer control of chakra than others. So, if I want to continue to follow you, there is only medical ninjutsu that requires chakra's control power. Although you are here, we don't need other people's medical ninjutsu, but if I can help you when you are fighting, then I will be very happy. With a distressed look, Naruto knew he was serious. Indeed, as little Sakura said, her life experience is the most ordinary among all the small powerhouses. Among the small powerhouses, there are 3 civilian ninjas, Shi, Tian Tian and Xiao Li. Tiantian has a strong ninja throwing talent, combined with the explosive ninjutsu taught by Naruto, he can be called a cover bomber. Xiao Li has a master like Might Guy who taught him physical skills, and even learned a secret technique like 8 inner gates that can improve his strength in a short period of time. Just little Sakura herself, an ordinary family, without any help from the family. Yes, but compared to ordinary people, it has much finer chakra control. So, learning medical ninjutsu is indeed the best deal for little Sakura. After figuring out the key, Naruto thought of how to help little Sakura. That is to hand over all those that Tsunade knows to little Sakura. Since you have determined your path, let me help you. Little Sakura suddenly revealed a look of surprise. Really? Naruto nodded and said, after you learn these 2 ninjutsu, you will definitely benefit endlessly. As for how to develop them in the future, it is your own business. These 2 techniques are also related to Master Tsunade, because it can be said that I stole Master Tsunade. In fact, after the avatars learned medical ninjutsu, they figured out money digging by themselves. But the effect and function are exactly the same as Tsunade's 100 healings mark and strange power, which can easily arouse Tsunade's suspicion. That being the case, it might as well just say that he stole his lessons from Tsunade. Little Sakura was a little disappointed when she heard that it was not created by Naruto. But when she thought of the ninjutsu practiced by her favorite female ninja, Tsunade, she became excited again. Quick, teach me. Naruto smiled, then handed over the 100 healings mark and Tsunade's know-how to little Sakura. Little Sakura's learning ability is really fast. After Naruto's detailed explanation, I quickly mastered it. On little Sakura's forehead, a prismatic imprint soon appeared. He clenched his fist hard and hit the ground, directly smashing the ground. Is this strange power? It's so strong, little Sakura said in surprise. Then, she hugged Naruto in surprise. Thank you, Naruto-kun. After solving little Sakura's troubles, Naruto checked the situation of the others one after another. Next to little Sakura is Ino. Like little Sakura, Tano is not one to fight from the front. Her family's secret technique is also used to assist, and even used to detect the information in the heads of other ninjas. Not very good at fighting either. And like little Sakura, Tano is also learning medical ninjutsu. So Naruto directly handed the strange power and 100 healings mark to Ino. Ino is slower to learn than the younger Sakura, but also quickly learned with the help of Naruto. This made Ino very happy, and hugged Naruto directly and kissed Naruto on the cheek. After that, as every day, Tianshin is still thinking about her ninja tools. It can be said that Tien Tien and Jinai are the two most grand masters of explosive ninjutsu among all Shaoqiang, and even Sasuke can't compare with them. Tien Tien is better than Jinai again. The main reason is that the blasting chakra that Shino's bugs can carry is limited, so the power of the blasting is also limited. Unlike Tianshin, the size of the ninja itself is much larger than that of a bug, and the blasting chakra that can be carried has been greatly improved, and the power of is also very impressive. But even Tianshin, it is still difficult to use explosive ninjutsu without attaching anything. In other words, Tien Tien is the only one who can detonate the explosive chakra without relying on other things. But the distance is limited, only 15 meters. Compared with Naruto, which is tens of kilometers at every turn, there is a world of difference. But even so, the explosive ninjutsu every day is still enough for her to deal with any ordinary enemy, and she doesn't even need to be afraid of crowd tactics. When Naruto came over, Tianshin was thinking about how to continue to improve the power of blasting ninjutsu. For Tien Tien, who likes throwing ninja tools, this is the fastest way to improve his own strength. But Naruto noticed that Tianshin had some problems with battery life, so he taught 100 healings mark to Tianshin. In this way, you can store chakra in the 100 healings mark every day, and when you need to use it, you can unlock the 100 healings mark and use the chakra inside to fight. With the support of chakra from 100 healings mark, even if you are surrounded by thousands of ninjas every day, you can fight calmly. Unless those ninjas are all jonin, but it's not possible. There may not be thousands of jonin in the entire ninja world. Chunin and genin are the most numerous in the ninja world. The fastest changing ones are also chunin and genin. Skip Tianshin, next is Hinata. Naruto's arrival did not disturb Hinata, and Hinata was still concentrating on practicing with her shadow clone. As the daughter of the head of the family, she may become the first daughter of the Hyuga family in the future. Hinata has always been very serious, especially when she learned Gentle Fist from Naruto, and even defeated Neji, who is called a genius. The family's expectations for her became stronger. In order to live up to this expectation, Hinata practiced even harder. Even, her 8 trigrams palms profound meaning is about to break through 265 palms. Certainly, Naruto has already broken through this amount, but it is not necessary to use it usually. In fact, Naruto can hit thousands of palms in just a few seconds. However, Gentle Fist's technique is aimed at the opponent's chakra acupuncture points. But Naruto's thousands of palms, I'm afraid he can't beat people to the ground. So Naruto gave up the matter of continuing to practice and study. Instead, focus more on the research and practice of other ninjutsu. After watching silently for a while, Naruto nodded and left quietly. After Hinata comes Neji. However, Neji is also paying attention to Hinata's situation while practicing himself. As a branch house, always pay attention to the safety of the main house. And Neji is also practicing Gentle Fist. But not only the 8 trigrams palms, but also the other mysteries of Gentle Fist are being cultivated and improved. Revolving Heaven's range, 8 trigrams air palm speed, and more. Naruto also has to admit that Neji is indeed a genius of the Hyuga clan. After watching for a while, Naruto left. Then there is Shino. Shino's practice looks very dull. Both he and Shadow Clone stood in place, with various parasites constantly appearing from his body. Parasites are extremely targeted insects that can gain resistance to the target by gnawing on the target. And this speed is not slow. As long as the people of the Aburame family are prepared, they can challenge very powerful opponents. Shino's sense of presence is extremely low. I don't know if it's the case of all the Aburame clan, or only Shino. Sometimes even Naruto always ignores his existence. As a ninja whose career is assassination, this feature of Shino is very advantageous. But when getting along with friends, this situation will make Jinao very troubled. Because people often can't hear his voice, and subconsciously ignore his existence. Skip Shino. Then came Choji. As soon as I came over, I heard the constant roar. Then Naruto saw several giants over 10 meters pushing each other. The only one who can use this kind of ninjutsu is Choji of the Akamichi clan. Expansion jutsu doubles the whole body or part of the body, thereby greatly increasing the strength and destructive power. It is a secret technique with strong frontal combat effectiveness, but lacks flexibility. In particular, the meat bomb chariot used by Choji Chongchong has amazing destructive power, but it is difficult to turn. Therefore, the talents of the Akamichi family need the cooperation of the Nara family and the Yamanaka family who can control the field. Come to Shikamaru. Shikamaru is actually playing chess with his own shadow clone. Everyone else is practicing hard, but Shikamaru is playing chess. Naruto was a little surprised, but also felt that this was in line with human nature. After being amused, he came to the side to watch the battle. It seems that you are indeed a match for chess. After all, no one else is your opponent, Naruto said with a smile. In terms of chess, Naruto is no match for Shikamaru. The reason is that Naruto doesn't know how to play chess, nor did he learn it on purpose. Shikamaru said without raising his head. I used to play chess alone when I was bored, but now that I have a comparable opponent, it is natural to play 2 more games. As for the matter of cultivation, we will talk about it later. Naruto smiled and said, you can do whatever you want, as long as you are happy. The Shikamaru clone looked up and said hello. You don't need to worry about our side, just go and see other people. It was like an order to expel Naruto. Naruto shook his head funny, stood up and fell asleep. This guy is really lazy, but it's him too. It can be said that it is the inheritance of the Nara family to be troublesome and lazy. Perhaps it is precisely because of this that they generally have intelligence far beyond ordinary people. Wow. That's right, it is indeed a strong enemy. Teeth wiped the sweat off his face full of belligerence. After all, they are our shadow clones. Wow. Akamaru yelled loudly above his head. Naruto saw that the teeth were having fun there, so he didn't go forward. The practice of teeth is filled with the sounds of animals. Because not only Iba used shadow clone, but even Akamaru also used shadow clone. So, this clearing is full of guys on all fours. It's all dogs and guys who look like dogs. It's really lively. It's noisy, though. Naruto shrugged his shoulders, seeing that he didn't need any help from his side, and he didn't have to worry about his mental state, so he left. Then there is only one last person left. Sasuke. This guy Sasuke ran to a farther place. When Naruto arrived, Sasuke was already bruised. Because this guy Sasuke made 20 shadow clone very bravely, and even let these shadow clone besiege him. It can be called insane. This guy, do you want to die? Naruto shook his head. At this time, exhausted, Sasuke rolled his eyelids and passed out directly. As soon as Sasuke fell, the shadow clones turned into white smoke and disappeared. It's better to treat him, don't really practice to death. Naruto has no choice but to step forward and treat Sasuke. After a long time, Sasuke slowly opened his eyes. As a result, when he opened his eyes, he saw the face of the person he hated the most. Sasuke got up quickly, and said with an extremely ugly face. What are you doing here? Naruto stood up helplessly and said. Just came over to have a look, and it was exactly as I thought. Although I know you are very proud, but pride is pride, and acting recklessly will kill you. Sasuke clenched his fist and said. Aren't you better than me just to sneak away with Shadow Clone? I also learned Shadow Clone now. With my talent, I will catch up with you soon. Naruto shrugged helplessly and said. Why so urgent? We have a long life in the future, and I swear I won't die before you die. You have plenty of time to catch up with me. Of course, the premise is that you can catch up. Sasuke exasperated and said loudly. I'm sure I can catch up with you. Don't underestimate people. Naruto spread his hands and said. Okay, then you can continue to practice. As he spoke, Naruto kept backing away, about 100 meters away, and sat down to look at Sasuke. Sasuke looked uncomfortable. Go away. Don't stare at me here. I'm so upset. Naruto propped his chin with his hand and said with a smile. Don't worry about me, just treat me as a tree. As a ninja, if you can't bear even this little disturbance, then stop practicing and go home to farm. Sasuke's lungs were about to explode. His chest was rising and falling, and anger was burning in his eyes. Sasuke swears in his heart that he must defeat Naruto and return all the insults he has suffered to Naruto. Inhale, he took deep breaths to calm his turbulent heart. Sasuke finally calmed himself down, although Naruto's gaze still made him a little concerned. But as Naruto said, as a ninja, if you can't bear even this level of interference, then don't be a ninja. Shadow clone technique. Sasuke split 20 shadow clone again. Seeing this scene, Naruto couldn't help shaking his head. I really have no self-knowledge. He was just stunned by his own shadow clone. Now he is still brave. What a headache. Naruto shook his head, suddenly felt a darkness in front of him. Looking up, he suddenly found 5 Sasuke's clones surrounded him, looking down at him with arms crossed, their eyes extremely indifferent. Naruto didn't know whether to laugh or cry. Are you too concerned about this? In order not to let me see, you just use the human wall tactics? Sasuke's avatar blushed, but said firmly, I want you to manage. Stay here honestly, don't peek. Naruto shook his head helplessly and said. Have you forgotten what I said before? If I want to, I can see it even if you poke my eyes blind. But forget it, I didn't expect my sight to bring you so much pressure. Seeing that Sasuke had self-knowledge, he did not use 20 shadow clone again. This made Naruto very relieved. Although Sasuke has an iron head, he is not so iron that he will not turn back without hitting the south wall. There are still people who can be saved. Naruto also didn't use observation haki to see Sasuke's practice. Since people won't allow you to watch it, then don't watch it. Doesn't it make you a hooligan if you look at it forcibly? He, Naruto, is not the kind of Sarutobi Hiruzen who peeps with a crystal ball. He wants to look at things openly and above board. Sneaking is not what Naruto does, sitting like this for a long time. The avatars around Naruto suddenly disappeared into white smoke. Naruto looked up. Sure enough, Sasuke passed out again. This time, the injury on his body was more serious, and several bones were broken. You guys, you are really welcome. Naruto checked, and reluctantly began to treat Sasuke. Obviously, Sasuke doesn't want Naruto to watch his cultivation process. But he unceremoniously included Naruto's medical ninjutsu into the scope of practice. That's why he was so unceremonious, carrying out this crazy practice like self-harm. It is because Sasuke knows that Naruto will definitely not ignore it. Literally kidnapping Naruto's kindness. This kid has also learned badly. The old Sasuke wouldn't do this kind of thing. During the treatment, Naruto couldn't help sighing a few words. Maybe it has something to do with Sasuke's change of mind? After all, he has already killed his own traitor with his own hands, so he must have relaxed a lot. Right now, I'm afraid his target is only me. To surpass me is already his biggest goal. Naruto deeply felt the responsibility on his shoulders. Not only Sasuke, although the others didn't say anything, they didn't want to be left too far by Naruto. If it was someone else, I'm afraid it would have been ruined long ago. Chasing a goal that can never be caught up is obviously the most desperate thing. But they never gave up. This spirit of never giving up is admirable. Because there were too many injuries, it took some time to heal. After the treatment was completed, it was already an hour later. After finishing the treatment, Naruto sat back to his original position. Not long after, Sasuke woke up slowly. He didn't see Naruto when he opened his eyes, and he looked around subconsciously. It turned out that Naruto was sitting in the previous position, looking at him with his chin propped up. Sasuke immediately turned his eyes away, but his cheeks turned red involuntarily for a long time. Sasuke continued to practice without saying a word. After receiving Naruto's treatment, Sasuke practiced more and more regardless of his own safety. After several times of self-mutilation training and being treated by Naruto, his way of cultivation was finally stopped by Naruto. You've tried it, how does it feel to improve? Naruto stopped Sasuke from continuing to use Shadow Clone and asked. Hearing this, Sasuke carefully felt his own strength, and then frowned. Improvement is naturally there, but much less than he thought. Why? Obviously you rely on Shadow Clone to become so strong. A genius like me must improve faster. Sasuke couldn't believe it, and yelled frantically. He could not accept this result. Obviously he has put in a lot of effort, but the result is not quite as he intended for. Naruto shook his head and said, it's because you are too brave. Everything needs to be done step by step. It's like when I first told you to use the shuriken throwing technique. At the beginning, there were 5 pieces, and the number will be increased after mastering them proficiently. The cultivation method you chose is similar, but you are too hard on yourself. Sasuke retorted. I didn't, as long as I do it a few more times, I will definitely be able to defeat 20 Shadow Clone. Naruto shook his head and said, impossible. Even if you were given 100 chances, it would be impossible. Besides, I don't have so much free time to stay here to treat you. Although I have nothing to do right now, it won't be long before I get busy. At that time, if you are so brave, you will only die in an unknown corner. Sasuke looked at Naruto in shock, and let out a cry of fear at the future Naruto depicted. I still have a lot to do. I still have to beat you. I can't die. Seeing Sasuke shouting hysterically, Naruto said helplessly. Now that you know it, then change your way of cultivation. Reduce the number of shadow clone to ensure that you can defeat it. Don't forget, your shadow clone can use all your moves. You let 20 shadow clone besiege you. Are you underestimating yourself? This is no ordinary ninja, it's your own shadow clone. The last words finally made Sasuke wake up. Yeah, why am I so long? Is it because I'm too anxious? Being left too far by Naruto created a sense of urgency. Sasuke muttered to himself, and his eyes gradually became clearer. This is not facing the siege of other ordinary ninjas. This time it was himself who besieged him. How his own strength is, he himself knows best. It is obviously wishful thinking to challenge 20 of you as soon as you come up. Raising his head, Sasuke looked at Naruto with a complicated expression. He wanted to thank him, but the pride in his heart did not allow him to say this to the opponent he identified. Finally, Sasuke snorted softly, turned his head and stopped talking. Naruto didn't care either. Now that Sasuke is awake, it's gone. Next up is Sasuke's own. Next, Sasuke didn't let Shadow Clone block Naruto's sight. And the number of Shadow Clone he split is only 5. Facing the 5 selves alone is not a small challenge. But, after careful consideration and understanding of himself, Sasuke defeated several Shadow Clones after a battle. Then, Sasuke gasped heavily and stood there with his eyes closed. He was digesting the memory that Shadow Clone gave back to him. In it, Sasuke was able to realize where he could do better and those mistakes that Linlian should avoid. After closing his eyes and meditating for half an hour, Sasuke continued to practice. Still 5 Shadow Clone. But this time Sasuke is more comfortable, and the number of injuries has been reduced a lot. After defeating 5 Shadow Clones, Sasuke closed his eyes again and resumed the previous battle. So back and forth. When the sky darkened, Sasuke was finally able to face 5 of himself, but was able to win unscathed. Clap clap. Go here first. After practicing for a day, it's time to finish. Naruto applauded Sasuke's progress, then stopped him from wanting to continue. Sasuke was disturbed by Naruto, and the ninjutsu he wanted to use was useless. Immediately afterwards, he felt a strong sense of exhaustion from his body. So Sasuke also put down his hand and followed Naruto back to the boulder. When they arrived, other people had already gathered around. Choji grilled the meat himself, and was very happy because the family was eating dry. Seeing them coming back, Shikamaru immediately raised his hand. Yo, are you finally back? We didn't call you when we saw that you were serious about cultivation. Naruto smiled and said, I was just looking at it, but I didn't expect that this lunatic almost tortured himself to death. He actually created 20 Shadow Clone at a time, and all of them came to attack him. Everyone was shocked immediately. A clear picture even appeared in Ya's mind. 20 Susanos surround a Susanoo punching and kicking scene. Wow, it's really lucky that you survived, and it's also lucky to have Naruto. Tooth sighed. Senju Tobirama put his hands on his shoulders and said with a frown. This is one of the reasons why I set the multiple shadow clone book as forbidden technique. If you are not careful, it will cause irreparable damage to the body, especially the spiritual aspect. You are the Uchiha clan. For your Sharingan, spiritual strength is very important. If you force yourself so hard, it will not strengthen your own strength, but will only destroy your own foundation. Sasuke curled his lips, arrogant that he couldn't hear such criticism. Don't worry about it, Naruto said with a smile. He has figured it out, and now he doesn't bless himself anymore. After all, he doesn't want to die, Choji said loudly. The barbecue is ready. Come and eat. The other people's attention was immediately attracted, and countless pairs of chopsticks stretched out one after another. The barbecue that was just baked disappeared in an instant. Choji stared at the empty bakeware, feeling like weeping. My barbecue. Naruto said with a smile. Don't worry, you have enough meat, just eat it. Then he looked and saw that something was missing. So I took out the seed bag, found a seed and planted it aside. What's this? Senju Hashirama asked curiously. I could feel it as if it were a fruit tree. Is this also your improved seed? Familiarity with wood style gave him a premonition before the seeds grew. Naruto nodded and said, Of course, as for what is planted, I think you will like it. Under the power of Naruto wood style, the seeds germinated quickly and grew to a height of about 3 meters. The branches are full of fist-sized round fruits. There is a protrusion under the fruit, just like a child's little finger. What's this? Little Sakura asked curiously, reaching out to pick one off by the way. Others also took it off one after another. Since it is grown by Naruto, it must be no problem to eat. But how to eat this unseen fruit still needs Naruto's advice. Naruto also took one, and said with a smile, "There happened to be something to eat, but nothing to drink, so I got this thing to quench my thirst. It is improved from coconut, but there is almost no pulp, and there is a lot of coconut milk in it. Of course, the taste will definitely not be single, and there are various flavors, but I don't know what flavors you have in your hands. It's like a lottery, some are delicious, some are not so good, but there is no bad drink. As for the method of drinking, it's like this." Naruto turned the fruit over, and then broke off the protrusion at the bottom of the fruit, revealing a small opening. Immediately, the fragrance of Japanese stocks wafted out. "That's it, is it convenient?" When the others saw it, they immediately followed suit. As the bottom of the fruit is opened, the taste of the juice inside immediately wafts away. "Mine is peach," little Sakura said in surprise. Ino's face was rather ugly. "What's the taste?" "I can't tell, but it's not good." Others tried it out one after another. Senju Tobirama looked at the various characteristic fruit trees constantly displayed by Naruto, and then looked back at his elder brother. His eyes were full of disgust. "If you could do it back then, we wouldn't have to eat those unpalatable military food pills when we were in the wild." Senju Hashirama scratched his head and said, "Who would have thought that wood style could do this, only remembering to use powerful ninjutsu?" Senju Tobirama pointed to Naruto and said, "Isn't there? And it's so unconstrained, it's simply beyond people's imagination." Senju Hashirama shook his head wordlessly. "I can't match his ability. Now, there is a delicious juice like a lottery, plus an already delicious roast." All had a great time. The sky also completely darkened. Except that Sasuke quietly left after eating to continue practicing. Everyone else sits around the bonfire that Naruto has lit and chats, waiting for a while to rest. This period of time has been tossing for a long time, and they haven't had a good rest for a long time. Although their physical fitness far exceeds that of ordinary people, and their recovery ability is also very strong. But after all, they are just teenagers and girls. Adequate rest is still necessary. Among the group of people, the most curious ones are the two brothers Senju. They have passed away for too long, and it is not clear how the current Konoha is developing. Afterwards, Shikamaru and others recounted what happened after they passed away. For example, the Second Ninja War, the Third Ninja War and so on. Naturally, some shocking things happened inside Konoha. Such as the suicide of Hitaki Kakashi Konoha's White Fangya. Neji's father died in place of his brother, and the Uchiha clan was almost made to rebel and so on. The more they listened, the more they frowned. The beautiful future they have spent their entire lives creating has turned into what it is now, which is really unacceptable to the two of them. "What the hell did the monkey do?" Senju Tobirama said dissatisfied. "Although the Uchiha clan has problems, how did it get to this point?" Senju Hashirama said, "Isn't it because you have always been displeased with the Uchiha family? They also acted according to your ideas, but they didn't understand your ideas accurately." Shikamaru clasped the back of his head with his hands, and said as he half lied on the stone behind him, "If it weren't for Naruto's help, I'm afraid that the Uchiha clan will disappear completely in the history of Konoha just like the Senju clan back then." The eyes of the Senju brothers fell on Shikamaru immediately. Choji asked curiously, "Indeed, I have never said anyone with the surname Ziman. Isn't Senju the great ninja who created Konoha? Why can't anyone see it?" Neji said flatly, "The manpower of the Senju clan was consumed too much in the First Ninja World War and the Second Ninja World War, so they can only be left behind. Right now, only one of the Sannin, Tsunade-sama, can barely support his face. The current Senju family has completely disappeared in Konoha." Boom. Senju Tobirama smashed the stone next to him with a slap. "That monkey guy, how dare he?" Senju Hashirama also sighed, his face full of medical ministers. "They once had high hopes for Sarutobi Hiruzen. I hope that Sarutobi Hiruzen can lead Konoha to continue to flourish. But now, Sleepy Leaf is indeed still the way of the 5 great ninja villages. But what is the price? It is the sacrifice of many people who do not need to be sacrificed. Under the leadership of Sarutobi Hiruzen, too many people died because of this, and were even forced to leave. Hitaki Sakumo, Orochimaru, Namikaze Minato and many more. None of them had to sacrifice in the first place. But because Sarutobi Hiruzen is too obsessed with power and indulges Danzo too much, it led to Konoha's current situation. Always sacrifice well-grown occupations to preserve their rotten dead trees. It completely violated Konoha's will of fire. The Hokage building in Konoha village. A worried Sarutobi Hiruzen suddenly sneezed loudly. Then he looked at the closed window and door inexplicably and muttered. I didn't even open the window. Why is there a sudden chill? Forget it. Let's think about what to do next. Naruto's contribution is really great. What reward should I get when he comes back? As Naruto captured the other 4 of the 5 major countries one after another, Naruto accomplished brilliant achievements that no other predecessors had accomplished. But under this achievement, Sarutobi Hiruzen had a difficult time. Because Sarutobi Hiruzen didn't know what to reward Naruto. In terms of positions, Naruto has reached the top, and Hokage is at the top. But how could Sarutobi Hiruzen possibly give? Financially, there is still Naruto's avatar running the meatball shop in Konoha village, and with wood style, the ingredients for meatballs don't need to travel so far. A large amount of wealth has entered Naruto's pocket, and Naruto has achieved wealth freedom. This left Sarutobi Hiruzen wondering what to do. Are you really going to give this position to Naruto? No. Naruto is too young to convince the crowd in this position, and he can't grasp the position of Hokage either. Since this is the case, then when Naruto grows up and is able to control this position alone, I will abdicate and let him give it to him, and a good story can also be fulfilled. Sarutobi Hiruzen thought happily. Up to now, even Sarutobi Hiruzen has to admit that Naruto's achievements are enough to take the position of Hokage. But his greed for the position of Hokage still made him unable to bear to let go of the rights in his hands. He thought to himself that this was a perfect solution. Tuk tuk. At this time, someone knocked on the door. Sarutobi Hiruzen immediately suppressed the smug smile on his face. After coughing lightly, he said in a deep voice. Who is it? Come in. A person pushed the door open, a person who surprised Sarutobi Hiruzen. Lu Ju? Didn't you go out with the team? Why are you still here? Nara Shirju came to stand in front of Sarutobi Hiruzen, and said with a smile. I came here this time to give Master Hokage a piece of advice. Sarutobi Hiruzen's eyes narrowed for a moment, and he heard a hint of badness from Nara Shikahisa's tone. What advice? Am I doing something wrong? Nara Shikahisa sighed softly, and then said. Master Hokage, although I didn't think so, I accidentally overheard what you just said to yourself outside. I don't think you made the right choice. Sarutobi Hiruzen frowned and said. So what if you heard it? Do you think Naruto, who is only 7 or 8 years old, can sit firmly in this position? Nara Shikahisa said firmly. Able. Sarutobi Hiruzen's eyes widened suddenly. Did the 3 most loyal Ino Shikacho families betray him? Without the support of these 3 families, relying on the strength of the Sarutobi family and other small families alone would easily shake his current position. Sarutobi Hiruzen could not accept the betrayal of the Ino Shikacho family at this time. Nara Shikajiu smiled bitterly and said, I did this for the sake of the overall situation. After all, Naruto now has the full support of the Uchiha clan. If you really insist on continuing to sit in this position, I'm afraid Konoha will have a conflict because of this. There is no need to say much about the result. Naruto is now invincible. It is said that Raikage and Tsuchikage together are not Naruto's opponent, let alone those monster Uchiha clan behind him. So, when Naruto guy returns, you'd better. Although Nara didn't finish speaking, his meaning has been conveyed very clearly. Sarutobi Hiruzen's face was full of decadence. In vain, he is still delusional about continuing to sit for more than 10 years, and then hand over the seat to Naruto after he becomes an adult. Now it seems that whether he can get down from this position safely is a huge problem. If one chooses the wrong choice, what awaits him is probably just a name on the monument of consolation, just like Hokage in the past dynasties. After a long silence, Sarutobi Hiruzen looked up expectantly at Nara Shikahisa, the intelligence he relied on the most. Really, is there no other way? Nara Shikajiu shook his head and said. For Naruto right now, any machinations are useless. Whether it is strength or prestige among the people, he has reached the peak level. Even, his voice has surpassed yours among the common people. Having said that, Ruliang Luju's face was a little embarrassed. Sarutobi Hiruzen noticed and asked immediately. What's going on, Naruto? How did he do it? Nara Shikahisa scratched his head and said. It is said that those villages feel that you have not patrolled the streets very much recently, and you don't greet them very much when you patrol the streets. It seems a bit cold, and you are not as enthusiastic as Naruto at all. Sarutobi Hiruzen is struck by lightning, he immediately recalled the suffering he had experienced. Because of Naruto's king-rolling behavior, the difficulty of patrolling the streets on weekdays has increased exponentially. Not only patrolling the streets, but even sent him back to the ninja school to teach mathematics, physics and chemistry. It's a pity that an old man of his age doesn't want to stay up all night to learn profound knowledge of mathematics, physics and chemistry. Really, he is too difficult. Thinking of these unsightly memories, Sarutobi Hiruzen couldn't help shivering. Then, he thought of a terrible possibility. If he still sits firmly in Hokage's position and does not waver, will Naruto intensify his actions against these kings? Or even increase the difficulty? Thinking of this, the originally extremely comfortable seat seemed to be fitted with nails, making him feel like he was sitting on pins and needles. Never mind. Sarutobi Hiruzen stood up abruptly and said. Naruto has created such a great achievement, so what if he is still young? It is an honor for everyone in Konoha village to welcome such an excellent Hokage like him. It is an honor for me, Sarutobi Hiruzen. I will hand over the Hokage hat to him with my own hands, just like I handed the hat to his father, Minato. This is Konoha's inheritance. Seeing Sarutobi Hiruzen's awe-inspiring look, Nara Shikagiu couldn't help curling his lips, but quickly restrained himself to avoid being seen by Sarutobi Hiruzen. Although the status of Sarutobi Hiruzen visible to the naked eye in the future will plummet. But at least he's still Hokage for now. The face project still has to be given. Ahem, if this is the case, then this subordinate will resign. Nara Shikagiu coughed lightly and then left Hokage's office. Wait until after Nara Shirju closes the door. Sarutobi Hiruzen stood on the spot and waited for a moment, his face still had that righteous look on his face. 10 seconds later. His face suddenly collapsed, as if he had endured the greatest difficulty in the world. The Konoha, which I worked so hard to carry forward, is going to be handed over to others. I hate it so much. Sarutobi Hiruzen hated him so much, but he didn't dare to attack. Because he doesn't want to die yet. If he had the spirit of dedication, he would have died long ago, and he would definitely not live tenaciously until now. Nara, who was standing outside the door and didn't leave at all, heard this and couldn't help shaking her head slightly. Then he walked away lightly, back to Naruto. After a night's rest, everyone's spirits became very full. Of course, if it is usual, there must be some fatigue. Being able to have such a full spirit is naturally also due to the magical fruit trees of Naruto. As long as these fruit trees are mastered, I am afraid that any family will be able to cultivate many elite ninjas. Senju Tobirama couldn't help sighing. Don't look at the Senju clan and Uchiha clan look strong. But in fact, the number of strong people in these two families is limited, mainly because Senju Hashirama and Uchiha Madara are too famous, so other people think that these two families are very powerful. If you leave Senju Hashirama and Uchiha Madara aside, the overall strength of these two families is also very limited. Shikamaru nodded. Indeed, the rice that can enhance the amount of chakra. A barbecue that can restore a lot of stamina and fatigue. There are also juices that replenish mental energy. As long as you have these, you can manufacture a lot of elite ninjas in large quantities, at least in terms of strength. As for experience, this cannot be increased by relying on practice. Naruto looked at Shikamaru without any surprise. You feel it? Shikamaru smiled and said. Although our Nara family's secret technique is not as good as Uchiha's Sharingan, it is also a yin escape ninjutsu that consumes spiritual energy. So I'm naturally more sensitive to psychic energy. Only then did the others look at the juice in their hands in surprise. They never expected that this juice, which tasted completely random, would have such an effect. Naruto said with a smile. These are my collections, and there is a high probability that they will not be popularized. What I will popularize is the crops and fruit trees with higher yields, so that everyone can afford to eat first. Senju Hashirama said seriously. That's a really big ambition. I really look forward to that day coming soon. Little Sakura said confidently. With Naruto here, that day is definitely not too far away. Ino nodded repeatedly. That's right, that's right. Shao Qiang have unconditional trust in Naruto. Because Naruto never let them down. Do anything, at any time. As he ate his teeth, he suddenly looked up curiously and asked. By the way, Naruto, didn't you say you were waiting for that Uchiha Madara? How is he now? Naruto closed his eyes and felt it, then opened his eyes and said. Come on, he has found the 8 tails Jinchuriki. After that it's up to him to get the 9 tails chakra. Shikamaru looked at Naruto thoughtfully. Isn't 9 tails in your body? Since he wants to gather all the tailed beasts, shouldn't he still extract them from your body? Could it be that 9 tails chakra isn't completely inside you? Naruto nodded and said. Really? Senju Tobirama thought for a while and said. I remember the rebellious Golden Horn and Silver Horn of Cloud Shinobi Village. They have 9 tails chakra in their bodies. It is said that they were swallowed by 9 tails at the beginning, and they survived by eating 9 tails meat and drinking 9 tails blood. Therefore, they obtained 9 tails chakra, and they can even use tailed beast transformation. Tooth said in shock. That's okay, Shikamaru said suddenly. I see, that's why Uchiha Madara teamed up with Orochi. Because Orochimaru was able to bring out the Golden Horn and Silver Horn Impure World reincarnation? Naruto smiled and nodded in agreement with Shikamaru's guess. You're right, but there's another person who owns 9 tails chakra. But whether Orochimaru knows this, I don't know. Seeing that Naruto didn't intend to say anything, the others didn't pursue it. Although they are very curious in their hearts. Neji sighed. I didn't expect that the chakra of 9 tails is so scattered, but you can still embody such a powerful force. The power of the tailed beast really makes people dare not underestimate it. Senju Hashirama said seriously. After all, it is 9 tails. Even I felt that the power of 9 tails was too strong. In order to prevent them from continuing to destroy the world, we can only seal them up. Naruto smiled slightly, and the 9 tails inside him are in the crazy Senju Hashirama. This old pervert. He said that my strength is too strong, but he sealed me up with a slap. Which one of us is stronger? And even sent our tail beasts to other people's villages like candy, and left me alone. He must be trying to keep torturing me. Naruto. Get me out, I'm going to teach him a lesson. Naruto said with a smile in his heart. You said yourself that he sealed you with a slap. Then you still plan to come out and get beaten. Without the cooperation of my chakra, you can't exert those powerful powers. As soon as Naruto said this, 9 tails suddenly died down. As Naruto said, relying on 9 tails' own strength alone, it is delusional to want to fight Senju Hashirama. Only when combined with Naruto's chakra, can 9 tails chakra exert its multiplied power. Seeing that Naruto has no intention of cooperating with him, 9 tails could only shrink back into the mental space sullenly and face the wall. Naruto looked at it amusedly, then looked away. At this time, in another icy place, Kakashi clapped his hands, looking very relaxed and freehand. On the side, Feng Hua Nutao, who fell on the ground, was covered in scars. He fell to the ground dying. Why? You have such a strong power. Stormwind is very confident in his chakra armor. But the armor he was proud of was easily pierced by Kakashi, which really made Feng Hua Futao incomprehensible. The wind and the storm still remembers Kakashi, the former Kakashi who was forced to flee from the snow country. Unexpectedly, Kakashi, who came back again, defeated him so easily. This is the background of the great ninja village. The eyes of the wind and flowers and raging waves are blurred, and it seems that time is running out. Kakashi glanced at it, then said, No, it's just because there is a king of scrolls in our village. We are also forced to improve our strength. It looks good now. Might Guy came over and said doubtfully. Why is there no one else but him? Not even a decent opponent. Kakashi said with a shrug. This guy doesn't trust others, so naturally he won't let others have the power to bring him down. Okay, now that the matter here is settled, the rest of the matter will be handled by other people. Let's go to the next place quickly. Might Guy asked curiously. Where is the next place? Kakashi turned to look at Genma Shiranui. Shiranui Genma reluctantly took out the scroll and looked at it. Oh, it's the kingdom of ghosts, the kingdom where witches rule. When Kakashi heard this, he immediately said with a headache. It's there, then it's a little troublesome. Might Guy doesn't understand. Why? Shiranui Genma looked at Might Guy speechlessly. Don't you know? The foundation of the kingdom of ghosts as a neutral country is that it has irreplaceable responsibilities. Might Guy tilted his head in doubt. Kakashi sighed and said. This matter starts with an ancient monster. That monster's name is Sprite. Kakashi told what he knew. Might Guy said suddenly. So those witches are here to seal the Sprite's container? They are really pitiful. So, is it true that the so-called sprites cannot be completely killed? On the way to the ghost country, Might Guy asked curiously. Kakashi shrugged and said, I don't know either. I only know that the last time the sprites were resurrected, that is, 7 or 8 years ago, it caused a lot of losses to our Konoha and Sanagakure ninjas. Those soldiers awakened by sprites cannot be killed at all, they can only be repulsed. And our casualties are the real deal, Shiranui Shwanma said indifferently. Don't worry, generally speaking, it will take at least 10 years for sprites to be revived again. During this period, just protect that witch. And even if the witch's seal doesn't work, there must be other ways. Don't underestimate ninjutsu, Might Guy said with great interest. A monster that cannot be destroyed. I really want to fight him. Kakashi stared with dead fish eyes, disinterested. If you really meet at that time, then you can do it yourself. I don't want to waste my efforts. Might Guy pumped his fist excitedly and said. Leave it to me without worry. I will definitely burn my blood to my heart's content, completely wipe out that monster, and let the netizens be liberated. Shiranui Genma couldn't help shaking his head and said. Idiot. Kakashi sighed too. Might Guy didn't know why, and looked at the two teammates curiously. What's wrong? Is there something wrong? Another Aburame Jawei, who had been taciturn, said suddenly. The reason why the Kingdom of Ghosts is a neutral country is precisely because of the unique identity of the owner of the witch, who can suppress monsters and ghosts from harming the world. If the witch loses this responsibility, then the Kingdom of Ghosts will lose its status as a neutral country, and the witch is just a group of people with special powers. Might Guy was taken aback for a moment. The intricate relationship here is something that he could never think of in his entire life with his own thinking. Kakashi said indifferently. It doesn't matter now, anyway, the Eastern Kingdom will also be included in the category of Konoha. However, considering Miko's previous duties, we should try our best to avoid armed conflicts in this operation. However, Kakashi wants to peacefully occupy the Oni land. But reality doesn't make him happy. When their group arrived at the border of the Ghost Country, they were immediately attacked viciously by the Ghost Country troops. How is this going? Without knowing the situation, Might Guy doesn't want to hurt these ordinary soldiers who only have a small amount of chakra in their bodies. Kakashi frowned while dodging the attack. I heard that the witches in the Kingdom of Ghosts have the ability to predict the future. Perhaps this is the witch of the Ghost Country warning us not to try to annex the Ghost Country. Shiranui Schwanma said with a headache. Then what should we do? Just go home like this? Kakashi sighed, then his eyes hardened. Since this is the case, then only violence can be used. At the very least, it must be confirmed that the Miko is indeed very unwelcome to our arrival. Shiranui Genma looked at the soldiers besieging them around in surprise. Isn't that considered unpopular? What level does that count? Kakashi shook his head, but knocked everyone unconscious with a very sharp hand. Might Guy and Shiranui Genma saw it and immediately followed suit. Relying on the high efficiency of the three Jonins, the unconscious soldiers soon lay on the ground. Afterwards, the three of them led the team members and quickly moved towards the witch's palace. However, when they arrived at the witch's palace, they found that it was already a mess. There are wounded and even dead people everywhere. Who are you? Suddenly, a weak voice caught their attention. Kakashi and others looked over and saw a young boy lying on the ground covered in blood. The juvenile's injury is very serious, but it is still within the scope of treatment. Chunin, one of the team members brought by Kakashi who is good at medical ninjutsu, immediately stepped forward to start the treatment. Kakashi asked in a low voice. We are the ninjas of Konoha, what happened here? Where is Miko-sama now? The young man struggled to open his eyes and stared intently at the forehead protectors on the three of them. The tense body then relaxed. Sure enough, just as he said, the ninja with Konoha came. The boy said something without beginning or end, but Kakashi and Shiranui Genma immediately frowned. Shiranui Genma whispered to Kakashi. Someone knew we were coming. Kakashi also nodded solemnly. Could it be the remnants of the Snow Kingdom? But Feng Hua Nu Dao only has those three subordinates, and there are no more subordinates here. Then how did they know we were coming? The boy took a few deep breaths, and then the ninja said in pain. Yes, a Konoha boy, he told me, mine. The young man brought Konoha's forehead protector with golden hair, shining in the sun. Kakashi and Shiranui Genma immediately looked at each other. Naruto. It's Naruto. The two were taken aback after speaking, they didn't expect that they would have such a tacit understanding. But now is clearly not the time to discuss this matter. If the sprites are really allowed to break the seal, then the purple bamboo forest will really be in danger. Kakashi said. Do you know the whereabouts of the witch? Who is it that attacked you? What is the enemy's purpose? Where did the Konoha shinobi you speak of go? The boy no longer spoke, but stretched out beautifully. Then he tilted his head and passed out completely. Might Guy suddenly said anxiously. Let's chase after her. The witch has been taken away. But the others all looked indifferent, as if they didn't care about the witch who was in danger. Kakashi patted Might Guy on the shoulder and said. Don't be so anxious, Guy. Didn't you hear what he just said? Might Guy scratched his head and said. I heard clearly, he said a Konoha boy with blonde hair. Suddenly, Might Guy opened his mouth wide and froze in place. Kakashi said with a smile, it seems you understand. Although it should be just a shadow clone of Naruto, with his strength, even a shadow clone is enough to deal with anyone. Therefore, there is no need to worry about the safety of the witch. We are still here to see if we can help. Shiranui Xuanjian said puzzledly. But why did those soldiers attack us just now? Kakashi said indifferently. Perhaps they regarded us as the ones who attacked the witches. Anyway, that's not something we need to worry about. Just as Kakashi and others were learning about the situation in the capital of the Ghost Country. At the border of the Ghost Country, a group of people are heading towards the Marsh Country. Master Sprite's seal must be lifted as soon as possible. Otherwise, if those lunatics from Konoha notice it, we will have no chance. Huang Quan still can't forget the shocking battle he saw not long ago. That's not even a battle between ninjas. For that level of battle, a person like him is more or less just a cannon. Only sprites can fight against guys as powerful as those monsters. Huang Quan gritted his teeth. Originally his plan did not arrive at the best time for execution. But now he can't help it. If you don't attack this time, maybe you won't have this chance again. It is very difficult for Huang Quan to guarantee that the Konoha shinobi who are now conquering other small countries will not notice the sealed body of Yamanaka. If the seal is broken and the monster's body is completely destroyed by those monster-like guys, then his faith will also collapse because of this. Master Sprite, please give us guidance. On his back was carrying a sleeping little girl. She is the key to undoing the seal of sprites, the witches of the generation of Inokoku. Behind Huang Quan there are several teenagers and girls. They followed in silence, but there was also an indelible fear in their eyes. Obviously, they also saw the scene that Huang Quan saw. Huang Quan hurried to the country of Swamp, but they didn't notice at all that there was a figure quietly following them hundreds of meters behind them. This is really a surprise. I remember that this sprite seems to be an immortal existence. I don't know if it can really be done. Or, he has a special nature of existence and cannot be killed easily? A clone of Naruto followed behind Huang Quan and the others. Originally, it was just monitoring the situation around here. Unexpectedly, he encountered Huang Quan leading his men to attack the Kingdom of Ghosts. Originally, Naruto planned to help. After all, the Miko still has some role to play. But after thinking about it, if he could completely wipe out the sprites, then there would be no need for the sad existence of witches to continue. After all, if you want to seal the sprites, you need the witches to sacrifice their lives. The current dancing girl Ziyuan is still just a little girl, and I'm afraid she hasn't even figured out her mission. It would be too pitiful to die like this. Therefore, Naruto intends to completely eliminate the threat of sprites. So, Naruto followed Huang Quan and others all the way to the volcano where the body of the monster was sealed in the Marsh Country. At the closest time, Naruto was less than 10 meters away from Huang Quan and the others. But even with this distance that can be called offensive to ninjas, Huang Quan and the others still didn't notice Naruto. It can only be said that Naruto's hiding ability is really too strong. Although there is no corresponding skill from the system, this is the basis of being a ninja in itself. Any foundation in Naruto's hands will become perfect in no time. The three-body technique is like this, stepping on water and stepping on trees is like this. The same is true of the ability to hide aura. Naruto went all the way to the inside of the volcano and came to a very empty place. There are unique lines on the ground, probably related to the seal. Afterwards, Huang Quan put the unconscious Ziyuan on the ground, and then chattered in front of a shrine. Naruto judged that Huang Quan should be presiding over the ceremony of awakening sprites. Naruto waited patiently, and soon felt a powerful breath emerging from the bottom of the volcano. However, it is said to be powerful, but the actual result disappointed Naruto. Is this the energy contained in the sprite's body? It feels like any tailed beast is stronger than it, right? Naruto raised his eyebrows, a little surprised and a little disappointed. But Naruto was keenly aware that there was something unique in the sprite's energy. As this. The power of emotions, hate, madness, tyranny, etc., are all negative emotions. It seems that sprites can absorb these negative emotions to strengthen themselves, and they are a guy who can use external forces to improve themselves. If it absorbs the negative emotions of everyone in the ninja world, maybe its ability can reach the 6 paths level. It's a pity. I don't know if this sprite has been sealed for too long, or it's just the sprite's true power. Anyway, the power is too weak, completely beyond Naruto's expectation. Naruto said with some regret. I still thought that I could fight a battle, but this is the result? What a disappointment. Disappointment is disappointment, people still have to be saved. After all, Naruto can't just sit and watch Shien being devoured by sprites. Just as the ground trembled, and countless black tentacles emerged from the cracks in the ground, Naruto rushed to Shien's side immediately. Who are you? Huang Quan didn't expect someone to appear suddenly, he was shocked and also felt furious. Ziyuan is an important sacrifice to be offered to Mr. Monster, How could he be rescued by this unknown person? However, he quickly saw Naruto's appearance. Huang Quan couldn't help but trembled, with a look of fear on his face. Yes, it's you. Why are you here? Could it be that you are here for Master Sprite? Naruto smiled, hugged Xian who was still unconscious, and said. This big guy will naturally have to deal with it. But I need to put this little guy in a safe place first. As for you, you don't need me to take action. After speaking, Naruto left in a whoosh. Huang Quan still wants to stop it, but where is the chance? Moreover, Huang Quan has a more important mission of. What is sealed here is only the sprite's flesh. The sprite's soul was sealed in another place. At this time, the ghost soul was rescued by Huang Quan, and in order that the ghost soul would not dissipate due to the lack of a body, Huang Quan offered his body and placed the locust soul in his body. That is, Huang Quan had to sacrifice his own life if he wanted to restore the sprites to a complete body. Huang Quan didn't want to die, but if he could make a sacrifice for the resurrection of the demon, Huang Quan would gladly accept it. I can't help it, I can only rely on the power of the sprite Sama. That's not an opponent I can beat. Gritting his teeth, Huang Quan took out 2 scalpels from the inside pocket of the windbreaker, and then directly cut himself open to release the soul of the evil spirit. Just as Kakashi and others were learning about the situation in the capital of the ghost country.